have a very special guest today, Alex Bright. Thank you for coming in, man. You have a lot going on.
I appreciate you guys bringing me on. I'm really excited for the opportunity to talk about, the brand that we're trying to build.
Well, you got a lot more than that. Your brother was the manager, Dennis Rodman, for 20 years.
Yeah.
You were the tour manager for the Harlem Globe Trotters.
Yep, that was fun too.
You worked for the WWE.
Yep, did that.
You did film, media, streaming, pitching to people.
Yep.
And that's just off the top of my head. And you write comic books.
Yes, yes.
But different comic books than just your average comic book.
Yeah, so we're specializing in... Right now we're doing sci-fi, but we want to create with Firebourne an opportunity in an area where artists and creators that, to make a comic book is expensive. To print is anywhere from $1.50 to $3, and that's per book. And then to ship it, like I just shipped out some comics today. We dropped probably like $100 just to ship it, like sending it to Canada, sending it to Oklahoma. It'll be anywhere from $3 to $10. Canada was $20 because we put them in these binders to protect them so they don't get disturbed. I brought the one for you right here that we're showing. So it goes in the binder, it goes in plastic, and then it goes in the box, and the box is weighed. So it was like $17, and then with taxes it came to like $20 and change.
God.
Yeah, so it's expensive.
Okay.
So
now I'm sorry, Alex. Now what's like a regular book cost? Not one from Amazon, like one that you made, you had produced or whatever. What's that cost?
So we're selling our comics at $4.75, and that's a physical copy. If you get a digital copy, it's $2.75, and you can do the digitals as well. So everybody has those. Kindle, not Tinder. Kindle. We go Kindle. So yeah, so they go digital publications, and we can do that, and that saves us a little bit on the cost. But I think a lot of people like that the physical touch of the comic book, so that's pretty cool.
I do, and I don't mean to mix this with kids, but like when you wake up in the morning when you're got a little bit older, and you like to get the newspaper, go to the bathroom with your coffee, and you need that touch.
Yeah.
And now it's like the iPad and all this stuff,
Yeah.
but it ain't the same when you're in the bathroom with the door shut before you got to listen to the day.
Yeah, I'm older than I look, so a lot of times when I tell people my age, I'm 53. I'll be 54 in May.
You don't look 53.
I know everybody says that, but I remember the times when you got up in the morning on Sunday and read the Sunday paper, and I always grabbed the sports, and then I grabbed the comics, and that's really where my love of entertainment came from just that reading those special little books, whether it's the Peanuts or there's the Garfields and all those. I love that.
Flintstones.
The Flintstones.
I remember the Sunday paper waiting for the Flintstones. I remember the Flintstones would come out and like the one cat one be in it.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was some animal that wasn't in it.
Dino.
And then you had to wait till the next week and hope that it's going to be in there.
Yeah.
But what made you want to turn it into like a sci-fi type of thing?
So I've always loved it. Like I remember watching Star Wars as a little kid. I was probably 7 or 8 and literally just being blown away and mesmerized by that. And I've always been fascinated with the sci-fi, the futuristic, because a lot of the sci-fi, when it was like my age, it was always like these adventures that people were on. I remember Lost in Space. I remember what was the when they went down under the ground in Time Machine and they went and warped Land of the Lost. Twilight Zone I used to watch a lot of. Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Logan's Run.
So get me into Star Trek. Because a lot of my friends and a lot of very big business people, they like Star Trek, and I can't understand it. So get me to like it.
So Star Trek is it's really, it was the first TV show that really had a very diverse cast and told of a future where humanity got together and really got their shit together, and got together and played well, and it was very diverse. It was the first movie or first TV show, anything that showed on TV, an interracial kiss, an African-American woman that was, she was the secretary or answering the phone, but she was still on TV and had prominent roles. It wasn't just one-liners. They had a diverse, the Russian who was your pilot. You had someone of Asian descent that was another co-pilot. You had Spock, who was a complete alien. So it was
Spock was pretty cool.
It really gave you this notion and that this world can be better. This world can show you some really cool things, and then the interaction between the aliens. The Klingons actually were supposed to be kind of the Russians. They were very, when you first watched the classics, they looked very European, very Russian. So you still had that dynamic of they were, the United States and us versus the Russians and so forth. But Roddenberry, when he was creating these, were basically always gave their, whether it was a bad guy, whether it was an alien race, they weren't just this mustache twirling person. They had motivation, and sometimes the motivation really, upset a lot of people and ticked off a lot of people, but they always had a purpose why they were doing things. They weren't just doing things just to be bad guys.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Because you would never, if you took 100,000 people here and said, tell me a little bit about Star Trek, they'd be like, oh, there's these guys on spaceships and whatever. Yeah. But really, there was a meaning of kind of taking away the division of race.
Exactly. Well, the whole thing, and
whatever race it, you're just putting everybody together.
Yeah. For me, the borderline of even racism and bigotry, when it comes into it, it's really about classism. And the science fiction is getting so much better. Like if you've watched Expanse, if you've ever watched that, that's a brilliant show. It basically is a show about Earth becoming expanding in the solar system, and you have a portion of Earth humans that go to Mars and try to terraform Mars, but in their process of terraforming Mars, they become this militaristic society. And Earth is this utopian society, but it's running out of resources. There's not enough water, not enough fresh water, so they have to go to the stars, which is literally, realistically, what we have.
Kind of sounds like reality right now.
There's more water on Europa and Enceladus,
I studied that,
as well as in the asteroid belt.
Out back.
Oh yeah, I love it. I was a big nerd, so for me, that's what really got it. And then as an African American growing up I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s and 80s. We really didn't have that notion of what it was to be. It wasn't cool to be a nerd. Now all of a sudden, it's really cool to be a nerd. I actually have an organization that I'm trying to start. It's a nonprofit, and I want to give people, kids of color, Latino, African American, an opportunity to become nerds or be nerds. Like when the James Webb took off, I was like glued to my seat watching. I can't wait to see the pictures. And that's always been my, for me as someone who, I was born in Jamaica, moved here when I was like 4. And so I have a different outlook on things because of my parents and how the upbringing was. They've always taught you the first thing that someone is going to see is you, the color of your skin and who you are, and you've got to blow them out of the water. You've got to blow that ideology that people have of what it is.
You only get one first shot.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Exactly. And
you should do that, because I think a lot of the craziness that's going on, white people, whoever, but like what you're talking about, you're from Jamaica, right? Those kids, they're not bad kids. They just need training.
Exactly.
Just trading guidance and love.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing with my parents. My parents are still together. My mom's drive me crazy. My dad drives me crazy. But they instilled in us to always venture out. My father still can't understand why I get Star Trek. Like I'll watch Star Trek or Star Wars and he just looks at me and he's like, I can't. But he's 86, so he's like, I don't understand what you're watching. And
I'm with Pops. I get the message now, but I'm with Pops.
But not only is it a uniting message, but it's one of hope. And then it takes us getting together, and that's kind of what got me going with Soul, is that when I started writing this was way before the pandemic, way before anything, and it was like, what would it really take for us to come together as a planet, a world, and understand that we're so small.
This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.
One of my things that I have on my Facebook page, and I put it in my profile every now and then, is Earth seen from hundreds of millions of miles by the Voyager as it's leaving our solar system. You see little blue dot, which is Carl Sagan's little story that he tells. And it's this beam, and you see this tiny little dot. And you look at it, and you just understand how small you really are. And then, would we really come together? And you've seen the Alien movies, and you've seen all of them. They come together, yeah, kumbaya. But I really wanted to dive in a little bit deeper to say there's going to be work. Of course, they're not going to come in, and of course, they're not going to all understand, and of course, they're not going to all come together unless things move into a certain direction. So that's really what the story is about, and then I put a twist on it where, the ships show up and, oh my goodness, it's what's the movie where they blow up the White House and everybody's moving away?
What is that called?
I forgot I can't remember the name of it, but which one?
White House Down?
Yeah, no. White House Down. It's an Alien. It's Will Smith. They just did a reboot on it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We'll think of it.
But so that's kind of what I wanted to not do, because every single time you always have the aliens are coming for our water, or they're coming for this, or they're coming that. So I wanted to kind of flip it and put it on its head, is that, it's about perception. So the aliens that are the quote unquote good aliens, the Lakchi is what we call them, they basically abduct humans because of if you see them, and you'll see them in the story as it progresses, don't want to cheat a little bit, but they're very intimidating looking. They're reptilian, they're huge, they're big, they look scary. So if something like that came down and said, hey, you're in danger, we're going to start shooting. So they think, oh, let us get some people or some of the natives, train them, and then send them back as ambassadors to say, hey, there's another group of aliens that are coming that are really nasty, really scary. They don't care who you are, what your religion is, what your sexuality is. They don't care. And they're going to want Earth. So we got to unite. And that's basically what the story is. So it's telling these characters and giving all these characters that were gone for 20 years, and then they come back to Earth that's completely just a mess, divided, corporations running everything. And they have to basically convince everyone on the planet that the threat is real, that they need to unite, because in 10, 15 years, these things are coming and you got to be ready. And there has to be a vote, and everybody has to vote.
That's
and
pretty cool.
If the vote doesn't, it's a vote yes or no.
Cool. That's pretty cool for
So that's what we're trying to do.
That's cool.
But I really wanted to get these stories out there about who these people were, because some of the characters, they weren't really nice people before they were abducted and taken away and trained, and then come back, and their philosophies, their ideologies change because they actually see Earth in danger and want to protect it. So that's what I think we're really going to get to.
That one looks like it's going to be huge.
So that's our
and I wanted to ask you this. Why did you call it Primal Origins Genesis? Why the Genesis?
So again, our whole concept is we want these, I don't like calling them bad guys, I call them antagonists. The antagonist race, which is the one on that the what looks like a dinosaur, they're called the Devar. And they're kind of hyena-like. And they basically, I don't want to spoil too much stuff, but they are the antagonists of the entire story. So we think that everyone thinks that they're 15, 20 years away, when in actuality, they're less than 5.
Yeah, because you got this one there.
So we wanted to tell a story and create a bad guy. So going back to my partner and my team, I have my business partner, his name is Evan Organ. He is one of my friends that I met playing Division on a video game. So if you've ever played Division, it's a FPS shooter game, but it's very almost like a role playing. So if you get shot, you have to shoot people, and it's like they're getting a bullet sponge. So they get hit, and every time they hit, their value and their health goes down.
Okay, now you got to tell me. Now I got to ask this.
Yeah.
What is so big about this PS5?
I don't even have a PS5 yet.
Every one of my cousins, every friend I know, Tommy, can you get me a PS5? What the hell is it?
So the PS5 is the latest video unit from PlayStation, which PlayStation is the biggest gaming company, the second biggest.
Still?
Nintendo's still pretty big, but the PS5 is what everybody gets, because that's like the be all end all. That's the game that everybody, or that's the system that everybody wants.
What happened to Xbox?
Xbox is still there, but they're owned by Microsoft, and a lot of people don't like Microsoft.
I don't like them either.
I don't have a problem with Microsoft. If Microsoft wants to sponsor me or get my show,
I take it back. Microsoft, I like it.
I like all of them. I'm a non-biased. I'm non-biased. I can get along with Xbox. I can get along with Nintendo. I can get along with PlayStation. Hey, PlayStation Network, you want my good sci-fi?
You know Nintendo's
come to get
favorite.
my sci-fi.
You know Mario Brothers and Luigi.
I love Mario Brothers, but I'm a PlayStation guy. So we were playing this game, and the Division is kind of, like I said, it's a role-playing shooter game. So there's an area called the Dark Zone where you go in and people are just running roughshod on people. You go in there and you're just like a weakling. They're going to kill you and steal your stuff. So I'm running around in the dark zone trying to avoid all the people because I'm like a low level. And I run up on these 3 guys and they're running around and I'm like, don't shoot. And they're like, no, we're not going to shoot you, bro. And I'm like, don't take my stuff because you're going to, no, come and run with this because you're like a low level. We want to help you. So we started running around and playing for like 2-3 weeks, and then we started talking, and they're like, hey, you seem like a cool guy. What do you do? And I said, well, I'm in film, and oh, have you done anything we've seen? I just did a lot of reality, but I've got a sci-fi show that I'm trying to, and so my friend Evan, he's like, let me see it. So I sent him my pitch deck, I sent him my script, and he's like, dude, this is really, really good. This was before I started working with the Globetrotters. Then I went on tour with the Globetrotters, and he ended up moving to Croatia. His parents were from Croatia, so he's living in Croatia. He started going there to visit his family and visit relatives, and he meets this woman of his dreams. And so he moves to Croatia, they get married, and then they have a kid. So a year later, when COVID started to hit, he started talking to me. He's like, well, so what's going on? What are you doing? I said, yeah, now I'm just sitting at home waiting for COVID to finish and I can get back to work. And he's like, well, this is a good time for you to really do something with at the time we were calling it Return. It's been changed 3 or 4 times. Something to do with Return. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't have the money and this and that. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I would love to do a comic book. And what's stopping you? Well, I don't have, the money to print, the money to hire artists, because I can't draw stick figures and make them look good.
Cash App. Go to cash.app. Cash App, the easiest way to send money, spend money, save money, and buy cryptocurrency. Cash App believes in providing everyone with access to important financial services so they can fully participate in the economy. Sign up today for Cash App. Use the code MSCS. Additionally, once signed up, create an invite code. When a friend uses the invite code and sends $5 or more from a newly created Cash App account, another bonus will arrive within 14 days. That's cash.app, or download the app and sign up. Cash App. Me and you both.
Well, he's like, well, I'm not doing anything and we're stuck in COVID. You know what? I really believe in your program and I really believe in what you want to do. I'll invest in you. And I'm like, you're what? And he's like, I'm going to give you the money to start this comic book. All I ask is, let me do your bad guys. And I'm like, got it. So he started really asking me questions. What's the history? I like this? I like that. What do you want to do with it? So that's what Primal Origins is. Evan is the main author of it. And he literally, he went to town. Like he's got like 9 issues already written out, already paneled out, and the guy's a machine.
You guys are good for a decade on that one.
He's a machine. So Primal Origins really is going to tell the story of who the Devar are, what's their purpose, why they are the way they are. Because, spoiler, this is a spoiler.
Well, now, out of the 2 that you got coming out,
yeah,
which one would you read first?
So I would so we have Soul, which is the primal, the prime one. That is the one that basically
Soul, that covers killer on that Soul, buddy.
That's the one that basically tells the story of who the humans were that were abducted, who the Lakchi are. They've come back because literally it picks up them coming back. These ships appear, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? And then everybody thinks it's going to be aliens, and then you see this person pop up. He's an African-American, and he pops up and he goes, let's begin. And you're just like, what do you mean, let's begin? And then he tells them the story, the trouble.
Soul's kind of like the base.
It's the base of it.
To build up to the next, and then the next,
so
and the next.
Soul was originally supposed to come out first, but our artist, Evan, again, when we went to Upwork, we found cool artists for me, and then he has a friend in Croatia that is doing all of the artwork for his.
That's funny.
And we wanted
to Upwork some shit sometimes.
Oh yeah, it is. Boy. But what we did was we basically put an ad out and we said, here's what we're gonna do.
Scout the room.
I need you to give me 2 pages. I'm gonna give you the script, and I want to see your interpretation of this script, and I'll give you notes. But we want to see it. And we basically made a test. And we had like 5 or 6 people send it in.
I bet they all had it back to you in 2 days.
Yeah, well, they did. they did. But my artist that we ended up going with, he was on a roll. He was doing really good. And he's in Indonesia. And then all of a sudden, there was a delay. And then we started getting, we want the pages at certain times. So we got pushed back a little bit. We finally got the final 8 pages. So it's ready. I just authorized it. We're going to color it, put in the dialogue, and then we'll have our first issue by March 15th. That's our goal. So that's out. So in the meantime, Mr. Machine over there, Evan, and his artists are just throwing, every day he's sending me, here's 5 more, here's 10 more. I said, dude, how many? I thought we said we were only going to do 20.
That's a good worker though.
Yeah. Oh, he's a monster.
You won't find guys.
No,
like that.
no, and
especially if they're consistent with it. You know that.
And he supported. He supported me. He's my partner. I'm not the boss. He's my partner, and that was one of the things that I really did.
What it sounds like to me is he supported you when nobody else did.
Exactly, exactly, and it was all because we met each other on playing video games and
playing Tinder.
Yeah, he came up. He came over. He was in Orlando 3 weeks ago with his wife and his son. His parents came in, and his dad absolutely like took pictures. And oh my God, he was hugging me, and I'm like, "Your son is the rock star." I just come up with the crazy ideas. He's like, "No, but they're good." His dad, I just shipped them 5 comics because he went and bought 5 comics. He's gonna buy 5 more of the Soul when they come out. So yeah, it's crazy. But when you get people that can support you and believe in you, it's so refreshing to have that. So Evan is running that, and he's, like I said, he's throwing out, he's ready for issue 2, and he's throwing them out and everything.
He's doing all the merchandise. You
so
got
what we
t-shirts, coffee mugs, all kinds of stuff.
So that was Evan's also. So we started it, and it's mostly drop shipping. So we deal with a company right now because we don't have the money to really buy the t-shirts, and we're
nice,
getting
though.
it's a fair deal. Yeah, it's a fair deal.
No,
So
not like some cheap shit.
No. So he's the one who got the idea. We got to do merch, and that was one of the things. I've always, like I said, my first movie that I watched as a little kid that I fell in love with was George Lucas and Star Wars, and I've read George Lucas's autobiography, everything that I could read about him. I've read it, and what people don't know is when he was doing Star Wars, he basically gave Star Wars to 20th Century. They basically had everything, but he kept the merchandise rights.
Good move.
And Lucasfilms is Disney bought him for $4 billion. And between the trilogies, which I'm not a fan of, but I'm not going to badmouth them, but the trilogies, they've made their money back. And then they just created the greatest Star Wars character outside of Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2, Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is a cash cow. That thing is like, it's a monster, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and badder. So that was like my whole model is we really want to try to create something for not just a comic book or not just a TV show. I want merch, I want toys, I want party hats and party balloons and everything and anything, because that helps the brand, that helps me, that helps, that's where really your money is, because anybody can watch a movie or anybody can watch a show, but you want those kids playing with those dolls. You want those people wearing the t-shirts and so forth. And that's the same model that I carry over with like my buddy Zek, who I manage, Jack Talos, and the 7 foot, that's where the 7 foot tall guy. So out of WWE, when we were with the Globetrotters.
First, I got to ask you about Rodman.
Oh.
Okay. Just a couple questions about Rodman.
So
I'll push that because I like it. I read half of the really cool cover one, Oasis.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah, the Soul.
Soul. Too much this week. But that's a good one.
My brother still manages Dennis. And so I'll tell you how he got it. And this is the story he told me. So my brother, we'll bring him on to your show because he's as dynamic as I am.
You come with him.
Yeah.
It's not fair if you don't come with him.
Between my sister, my brother, and myself, we've got 3 kids. My sister and I were born in Jamaica. We moved here when I was 4. My sister was 2. My brother was born here. He's the first person in my family that was born in the United States.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Is that real cool as like a family to have like a firstborn in the United States?
Yeah.
You, kill yourself to get over here? So
the Jamaicans teased him when he was younger. They called him Panyaman, which is basically it's just a teasing little thing that they call people that are not from the yard, which is what Jamaica, we call it the yard. So he was teased a little bit, but he is between, like I explained to your producer, I said, if there's a Black Lives Matter march or parade, I'm going to be in the middle with my sign, just being nice. My brother, he'll be home sleeping. He doesn't want to be involved in that bullshit. He's a liberal. He claims himself to be a liberal, but he's harsh. Both of us we studied political science. He had a political science major. I'm a minor. And he basically we're both no bullshit. I understand politics, and I make it a habit in the last 3 years, I won't talk politics if you can't name the 3 branches of government and then explain what those branches are responsible for. If you can't name that, I can't fuck with you. I'm sorry. I can't.
Well,
I've done it.
You ever watch like Jesse Waters?
Yeah.
He goes out and asks him, who was the first president? They're like, Ronald Reagan.
We have a very ill-informed electorate. But with my brother, we both know how things are supposed to be. We understand the terms and so forth. So we're very set on our ways. So I'm the marcher, but I'm not going to understand. I hold the Democrats to the feet to the fire as much as I hold the Republicans. He does the same thing. My brother would be sitting. My sister, she's throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. She's like the rebel.
Oh,
she's another unique. Like I said, we're still trying to do kind of like our own little podcast because we're so diametrically different, but still philosophically the same, but we grew up in the same household, and our friends will be like, how is your sister like Black Power, Afro, Angela Davis? You're like Mr. Chill, and your brother's like a conservative. My brother will go, I'm not a conservative, I'm a liberal. And I'm just like, whatever. So he has a lot of friends that were in the entertainment business at the time, because I don't know how he got in, but he went to University of Florida, graduated from Florida Atlantic. He's got a bachelor's, a master's, everything. So, but he's always been able to find these people and just get into that circle. And he did it not like everybody will go like, if you hang out with Dennis is paying for everything. My brother, he would hang out with Dennis. He would hang out with Larry Bird. He'd hang out with all these celebrities that his friends were managing, and they would go to a bar, and my brother's off to the side buying drinks by himself. And he did that for a long time, hanging out with Dennis. And Dennis is like, how come when we go out, I don't buy you shit? Because
I'm my own man.
Because I'm my own man, and I don't want to seem like, I don't want you to think that I'm
just around
a clinger
you
because you're Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. Your brother's a good dude.
And he's the only person that can get Dennis to do shit. Yep. The only person. I'll let him tell the stories and come on, but the stories that I've had with him and I've listened, and it's so funny. We were celebrating Dennis's, this was like 10 years ago. So it was like his 40th or something, 30-something birthday party, and we were at the Hard Rock down in Hollywood. So my brother's like,
was he acting crazy?
No. So my brother's like, hey, yeah. I always tell my brother my brother loves this story, but he hates it. So we're getting ready to go to the party. It's me, my sister. We're waiting, and Dennis's entourage pulls up. My brother gets out the car. He comes over, hugs me, introduces Dennis to me, introduces my sister. Dennis is hitting on my sister, twirling her, and oh my God, you're gorgeous. My sister is gorgeous. So we're sitting there walking, and it's like 30 people. We're walking through the Hard Rock, and I'm very chill. I don't really like being in front of cameras. I don't really like doing interviews.
You're like the guy behind the scenes.
Yeah. So we're walking, and people are like, oh my God, it's Dennis Rodman. And they're like holding cameras in everybody's faces. They're coming and putting the camera in my face, want to take a picture. And I'm like, why are you taking my picture? You're with Dennis. I'm nobody.
You should have had your comic book.
So yeah, I wish. So we go back into, I forgot which bar we were at, but we go into the VIP section, and I'm there, and it's crazy. It's like 300 people. It's nuts. And so I get my drink, and I go into the front of the bar. It's like a indoor outdoor. So I'm sitting there drinking, and these 3 girls come up to me, and they're like, oh my God, you're with Dennis's party? You're Dennis? Can you get us back there? Can you get into the VIP? And I'm like, I'm just, it's my brother. He's the manager. I can't guarantee you or get you in. He's going to have to get you in because I'm not going to step over anybody's feet. So I go back and I go, hey, AJ, these girls want to come into the party. And he's like, okay. He's like, oh, where are they? I said, they're up front. So he walks back there with me, and I go, hey, girls, this is my brother, AJ. He's in charge of Dennis. My brother looks and he goes, you come with me. And 2 of me, he takes them in. The other 3rd girl, he didn't take it.
Yeah.
And she stuck and bugged me the entire night.
Boss move.
And I told my brother that, and he's like, I don't even remember that. And I'm like, yes, you are that dirty. You are that dirty. So he can tell you some. He can tell you some really good stories. But you got to tell me
too. In Dennis's younger days, when he would come home, when Dennis was really, I never really thought Dennis was crazy. He was just different. And I really think that he was one of the greatest basketball players ever.
He is.
I think it's really fucked up that Poland put him in the Hall of Fame before the United States did.
Yeah.
Because Dennis was the guy that did what nobody else wanted to do.
Oh, absolutely. In his book, Phil Jackson? Phil Jackson said, Dennis is the greatest. He said, I've coached some greats, but Dennis is the greatest pure athlete. And he never started playing basketball until he got like out of high school and into college. Yeah. Like my brother can tell you the story. He never played college ball until like a year in. And then it was like, oh, okay. I showed up and he's walking around on campus, and the basketball coach is like, who the hell are you? Why aren't you playing basketball? He's like, I don't play basketball. And he went in and this guy got him, put him on the straight and narrow. And I tell people this all the time from somebody who knows him. He's the nicest guy. He gets a really bad rap on things, but as the old saying goes, no press is bad press. And that's why he is who he is because he keeps himself out there. But he's boring.
yeah, but like Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Jordan is a trash talker.
Oh yeah.
He never said
No.
one bad thing about Dennis.
No.
Even when he was acting fucking
Yeah.
nuts, Jordan never said, because you know why? Jordan knew he needed fucking Dennis.
Because Dennis is going to rebound 50, 60 times for you, and he's just an amazing, and he's a nice guy. I think he gets a lot of bad rap, and I think a lot of people misunderstand who he is and what he's trying to do. And like I said, it's just as long as you understand where he's at and get it, and that he's always going to try to keep his name out there. And some of the outlandish stuff that he does, he's groundbreaking. He's playing basketball and he's got his hair colored. He's got fingernails on, and my niece runs a nail salon and pedicures and manicures, and he's going there to my niece, and he's the really nicest guy. He's really nice.
Any
guy.
crazy stories from playing with the Bulls? Anything crazy?
My brother will have to tell you that more because I don't get those stories, but he can tell. That one I could tell you. I'll let him tell you when he comes on.
Right.
The funniest story that he's ever had was when they went to Germany and they got locked up in a.
They got locked up, did they?
I can tell you.
Phil get them out?
I can paraphrase this. So they were doing a tour, and it was like basketball. Tim Hardaway, Dennis Rodman, and all these guys, and they're in Germany, and they're driving on their bus to Germany, and all of a sudden, police cars come around the bus, pull the bus over, and they march everybody off the bus, and it's Dennis Rodman, Tim Hardaway, like all these big time top notch guys,
yeah.
And they're sitting in a cell, and Dennis, and nobody can understand. My brother's like, "What the hell's going on? He can't understand." And then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes pass by, and like 100 basketballs show up, and they just go, sign. Timmy Hardaway's, I ain't signing. And my brother walks over to Tim and goes, fucker, start signing. We need to get do you understand where we are? And I laugh when he told me that story.
That is good.
Yeah, he tells you some crazy stuff.
I'll let your brother tell him.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when I saw Dennis go over to North Korea and he came back crying on national TV, if you don't think that man's got a big heart.
He's got a big heart.
I mean, not just the fact that he went, it was that he came back, tears coming out of his eyes, trying to help out.
And I think that's the biggest thing also is people don't understand is that he really does genuinely try to do things. People are like, oh, it's a publicity something. No, he really, really has a good heart and really, really does try to do the right things. And in that situation, and again, because my brother's a political science major, he told him, he said, Dennis, to push back on that, I wouldn't do it. But you're going to do what you want to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do. And that's what he did. And he tried. And he tried to do something. He tried to bridge the gap. When you get into the politics, especially international politics and so forth like that, and even understanding the cultures that are so different from there, anything that you can do to try to bridge it. And, whether you're looking at Cuba or whether you're looking at North Korea, there's things and situations that are in there that people like me and you might not understand or get. And for somebody to go over and just try to be like, do something for peace. And the Globetrotters,
like genuine.
The Globetrotters is where, like, when I was on the Globetrotters, that was
how'd
like
you get into the Globetrotter thing?
So
because I can't break you on Dennis, so all right, I give up. I threw in the towel. But the Globetrotters was you, buddy.
So the Globetrotters,
so take me from beginning to end, because I used to watch them, and they must practice a gazillion hours a day. I think half of them are better than the NBA guys.
Yeah. So the Globetrotters is probably, and I tell people I've had 3 amazing jobs.
You should be so proud of yourself. That's really cool.
It's really cool. It's. I used to work for Disney. I did Animal Kingdom when they were opening up that park.
Really?
So I was there. I worked there, and then I worked for the WWE. So the Globetrotters kind of came from the WWE. So I used to be, before I got into entertainment, I was a senior manager and general manager, assistant general manager for what we call FECs, Boomers.
What's that mean?
Family Entertainment Centers. Do you know what Boomers is? The park Boomers over by Boca?
No, I'm from up north.
So it's a theme park. It's like a go-karts, video games, laser tag, rock wall.
Okay.
So I was running those parks. So my WWE story. I ended up meeting
WWE, and then we'll get to the.
I ended up meeting someone who was the vice president of music. He still is, and he came to my park and he saw how hardworking I was, and he's like, man, you're a really hard worker. I helped him out with his daughter and the doll and something along that lines. And he's like, man, I really love your customer service. I really love you. What you're doing. What are you doing here? You're a rock star. And I said, well, yeah, but my real job is I'm going to film school and I'm trying to get into film and this. And he's like, you do film and TV? I said, yeah, I do film and TV. He's like, well, we're looking for a stage manager for NXT. We're moving FCW, which is Florida Championship Wrestling, into Orlando, and we could use a stage manager. So I sent him my resume, and I got the job. I came in as a stage manager.
And in simple terms, what's a stage manager?
So a stage manager is responsible for, he's the coordinator between talent and the production. So I would make sure that the wrestlers are at the curtain when their music is about to hit, and then get them out on the curtain. If they needed any props during rehearsals, you're overseeing the when the producers or the writers are there and they're working with the wrestlers, you're making sure that if they need anything or anything coordination between the studio, the cameraman, where they're supposed to be. It's a lot of rehearsal. People really don't.
A hell of a lot of rehearsal and
It is.
logistics.
It is. And that's the biggest thing is everything for wrestling, they're telling that story and there has to be a right camera angle. So they rehearse all of the camera angles. One of the coolest things I ever did when I was a stage manager was I got to do the intros. So they play the music and you'd have to walk down and the timing was right. And that was really, really cool. So
what were some of the wrestlers you worked with?
Oh, so
I used to watch when I was a kid all the time.
So I worked with NXT, which was their development league. Now it's one of their main 3 shows. But I worked when they were a year when they moved over from FCW. So I had Finn Balor, pretty much everybody that's right now on SmackDown and Raw, I was working with. Finn Balor, Sasha Banks, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, you name it, I was working with them. And then
now, how do you tell somebody that size, hey, do what I'm telling you now? Because you're not 7 foot like I thought you were.
You have to do it. You have to do it gracefully. And at that point in their career, they are just starting out, so they're very respectful. They're very, they took orders, they took commands very well, and they were always respectful for the people that were helping them grow as entertainers and as wrestlers, as well as the staff around. It was always, they didn't have any attitudes. They still don't have any attitudes. I've talked to people and they're still the same way that they were back then. So it's really cool doing that. So from there, I moved.
Hold on the WWE. How hard do they work out?
They work out
every single day?
Like my wrestler, Zach, who I'm working with, every single day he's in the gym working out. Every single day he's rehearsing. We try to work on promos. We do everything, the promotions. They work out every single day. They're in the ring, running the ring, working the ring. They're working out with weights, keeping their body in top physical shape. And that's what they do every single day. They eat,
but
sleep,
when they
and drink.
jump off them ropes, and they can practice that all they want. I mean, that has to hurt, right?
The mat is not soft. When you land, it's called taking a bump, and it's not. But they understand how to land properly and how to do, like they always make great stuntmen. Like The Rock, he does some of his stunts. Dwayne does some of his stunts, but he has a stunt team that does it. But he knows how to land. He knows how to throw a punch. He knows how to maneuver and work around the cameras and angles. So that's what really they make really preparing.
When The Rock was wrestling, he had stunt guys?
No. Now that he has stunt guys. Now. But before, no. They understand. The mat is hard, but your body builds up you get used to it.
Yeah, like
but
if you're a boxer and you get hit a few times, like the first 3 rounds don't hurt that bad, but then when you keep winning, and you're like, oh shit, now I got to get in a plane and travel to Alabama, and you're like,
and that's kind of what it is like they really work really, really hard, and they condition their bodies to be able to take the bumps night after night and time after time. So they're phenomenal athletes, and that's what people don't really realize is it's scripted, yes, but they're athletes to the core. You can put these guys on a basketball court, a football court, running, lifting. They're workout athletes, and you can't disrespect that.
Well, guess what, Alex? It might be scripted, but I can tell you right now, every Monday night, they're still watching.
Oh yeah, exactly. They're still watching it. I always say it's soap operas for men.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Ed? Who was the guy who was running it back then? I think somebody else got it now.
Which one?
He ran the WWF.
Who? Vince?
Vince.
No, I
Vince
never.
McMahon.
I never got to meet. I never got to meet Vince. I did meet Stephanie, and then when I was working with NXT, I got to work with Triple H, Paul Levesque.
Triple H.
Yeah, I got to work with him.
You got to work with Triple H.
Yeah, I got to work with him, and that was pretty cool.
What was he like?
He's the nicest guy. He's
gigantic.
He's so focused, but he's the nicest guy. And like Michael Cole was there all the time as well, and he was the main one that I got to deal with a lot. And whenever we're doing rehearsals and stuff like that, like I remember one time Trips was on the stage, and we were running to do rehearsals, and we're waiting for cameras. So I'm just standing there like this with my hands in military because I'm ex-military. And he turns over and looks at me, and he goes, "What's going on, Alex?" He says, "What's going on, Alex?" And I said, "Yeah, we're about to try to do rehearsals and walkthroughs." And he's like, "Why don't you just kick me in the ass?" I said, "You're too big." But he's the nicest guy. I mean, when he had the incident with his heart, I sent a text on Twitter, and I said, "Yeah, thinking of you, your former stage manager, wishing you luck and so forth like that." But it was really, really cool dealing with all those guys, and they're all professional. Whether it's Michael Cole, whether it's anybody back there. I got a chance to work with Dusty, who was like amazing.
Who was the really cool one? He just passed away.
Dusty Rhodes was probably
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
What was his stage name?
He was the American Dream. That's Dusty Rhodes.
Dream.
Yeah. I have a picture with him because he was my father's favorite wrestler. Back in the 70s, my parents were. My dad's still a big wrestling fan. My mom, she watches it a little, but we would go to the Fort Lauderdale.
What's your mom say when your dad puts the wrestling on 80 years old?
She just walks away. She walks away, but my dad still loves it.
Put the ID channel on.
Yeah, she still loves it. But we would go to the Armory. They would take us to the Armory out in Fort Lauderdale off of State Road 84, and we would watch Dusty Rhodes, Dirty Dick Murdoch. And I told Dusty that. I said, "I've been watching you since I was a little kid in the Fort Lauderdale Armory and War Memorial down in Fort Lauderdale." He's like, "You remember that?" I was like, "You were then?" He's like, "How old are you?" And I told him how old. He's like, "There's no way." He never believed it. And I have a picture with him. That's like my prize picture. It's him. And I showed it to my father. And my father's like, "You met Dusty Rhodes?" I said, "Daddy, I work with him every single time I'm working at NXT, and he's the nicest guy." And those were his kids, and he treated them like it's his
What
kids.
would your dad say when he said, "I work with him every day, Dad"?
He's had a smile, and he was like lucky, and yeah.
He was probably calling every friend he has.
Oh yeah, he did.
Bragging
He did.
like,
My dad loved my
you do
job.
something wrong, and then he found no one enough, right?
My dad has always loved my job. My mom's always loved my jobs. They were a little harsh, but then when they see how happy I was and then they started making money, then they're like, "Yeah, okay, you're good." So that ended up leading me to when I graduated from college. I really thought I was supposed to be this. I was going to be the guy, and it didn't work out. And then I ended up moving to Atlanta because all of the businesses started to move and shift because of the state income tax. Atlanta has it. That's what's driving the industry. So I moved to Orlando. I had a friend who was a stunt man. He did stunt driving, and he had a Russian arm car. And he's like, "Come stay in my house. I'll rent you the room, and you can start working." So I was there, and I was working PA jobs and doing these different gigs. And then I get posts for the entertainment. So I got a post saying they were looking for stage managers for Harlem Globe Trotters. And I said, "Okay, I got stage manager experience. I can do this." So I sent in my resume. And at the time when I sent it in, they accepted it, but they said, "Oh, we just filled that position, but can we keep you on record because we always are looking for stage managers?" I said, "Of course." 2 days later, they called me. They're like, "You're still interested in that job?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So then I started off as a stage manager. And
what's the stage manager?
For the Globetrotters, they are the liaison between the facility, whatever arena we're at or gym we're at, and the crew, making sure that the show runs. So you're getting all the props in order, the bucket. You're getting all the trampolines and running the stage crew and so forth. So I did that for 1 year, and then I was going to just come back to Florida and just start working. I really wanted to focus on being more creative, because when you're the stage manager, you're still moving the pieces on the chessboard, but it's not your game.
And you're traveling everywhere.
Oh yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
Everywhere.
You travel a lot. You're on the bus, so it's get on the bus.
Now, how good are those guys? Like when you watch them off TV and they're just playing.
So they rehearse every single time we get into the arena. They're running practices, and when again, I tell people that don't know or young kids, it's a basketball game that has show elements in it. And so they're like telling these little stories and they're playing these little skits, and It's amazing. They've been doing it for 100 years. People don't know that. The Globetrotters have been around for 100 years.
Alex, when I was 4 years old,
yeah,
when I came over from Italy, I think like as soon as we had some money,
yeah.
I went and saw the Harlem Globe Trotters. These guys are jumping over roofs.
Those are some of the great stories that I had. And when you're there and you have people that they're adults, they're in their 30s and their 40s, and they have their 9 and 10-year-old kids, and they're just like happy. And it's probably the most rewarding job that I've ever had, was working with them and getting that experience. And those guys can play basketball. The majority of them all played some level of collegiate and some semi-pro. So these are not guys that don't know how to play and can't shoot. One of our guys, Ant, he's retired now. He's coaching high school basketball. We were at a game, and it made ESPN. He hit, I think, 18 three-pointers, their three-pointers of the 4-point line in a row. That's 40
what was it
out.
That's about
that's
about a foot out from the 3-point line. That's like Steph Curry on like a super hot day.
18 in a row. It made ESPN because that's a skill. I mean, it was like give him the ball, he dribbled down and hit it.
If you watch some of those guys at night, I don't care what anybody says. They're better than half the guys in the NBA right now. Because they're so athletic.
Yeah. The thing that I loved about it, again, being with that in that group, was just I think it's one of the best family-oriented shows out there, and we specialize in that. The Globetrotters will be on the bench, and kids are coming over and they're signing their jackets and signing their shirts, and it's the most rewarding thing. The best story that I ever had was I forgot what city we were in, but we had Dizzy. He had the monikerism of Curly Neal, and so at the end of the show, we do what we call the rope. So we position the Globetrotters on the court, and we put up this rope, and then the fans can come down and get balls signed for free, their jerseys that they bought for free, or anything that they want get signed. You can even come over and just shake their hand. So I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I see this guy. He's kind of waving at me. He's waving at me, and he comes over and he goes, "I need a favor." I see the clock. It's like 15, 20 minutes left. He's like, I'm really trying to get this ball signed for my dad, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind maybe just giving it to him, because I'm not going to make it. I know I'm not going to make it. And I said, "No, you'll make it, dude. I'll make sure that you make it." And he's like, No. I don't want to really stand in line because my dad, I got to get him home. He's 87. And, we went every year that the Globetrotters came to the city, he brought me to the games. And he's getting old, and I said, "Bring your father down." So he's like, "What?" I said, "Bring your father down." He's like, "Oh, I just want Dizzy's autograph because Dizzy reminds him so much of Curly, and he loved watching Curly play." And I said, "Sir, bring your father down here. I'm going to bring you over to Dizzy and you can meet him." And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "No, go get your dad." So he runs up and brings his father down. This guy's like 86 years old. And he's like, "You don't have to do this." I said, "No, I do, because you've been a loyal fan for these Globetrotters, and you're the ones that make us do this."
But see, Alex, no, you did it because you paid it forward.
Yeah.
You paid it forward.
Yeah.
Your dad did it for you.
Yeah.
Then you paid it forward, and now that little boy that you did it for is going to do it for somebody else.
So it was the dad who's been coming from the 70s, the son who grew up with it, and their kid. So there's 3 underneath. So I go over to Dizzy. I bring him into Dizzy. I say, "Just stand right here." And I tap Dizzy on his shoulder. I say, "Dizzy, I need you to meet this guy. He thinks that you remind him so much of Curly, and he wants to meet you." And Dizzy turns around, and he goes right into Dizzy, and he goes, "Thank you for coming to the show." And the guy grabs Dizzy's hand, and he goes, "I know I'm not much longer here, but every time you and the Globetrotters came, you brought happiness to me, no matter what was going on. And I just wanted to appreciate it and just get an autograph from you." So the guy literally the son is crying. I've got tears in my eyes. I call Coach over. Coach comes over, and Coach is now crying, and everybody's there. And we took like 15 pictures, and he spent like 10 minutes just with this guy, and then took him back underneath. The guy pulls me into a hug and says, "Thank you very much." That's the stuff
that's what
that matters. And that's what the Globetrotters motto was always, was you make these lifelong memories. And if you do that as an entertainer, I think no matter how much money you're making, that's what really it comes out to, because the fans are the ones that keep you going. And I think a lot of celebrities forget that. They lose that. And again, I get it. I've been out. My brother's told me with Dennis, he's in a stall and somebody's slipping paper as he's taking a shit. Or he's taking a piss and somebody comes in and wants to take an autograph and we're like, I'm peeing right here. So I get the personal space, but without those fans, you don't have that. And anytime that I could give back and make that fan day special. My favorite thing though was when the kids come on the court and we'll bring the kids out when they're trying to steal the ball from Dizzy or one of the ball handlers, and you start with 5, 10, and then come on kids, and all the kids literally rush the court. There's like 1,000 kids, it seems like, we're trying to get a basketball from Dizzy or from the handlers.
How do you control that? Because that's your job, to control the whole fucking stadium. You
basically try to get him, and then they get the.
A little kid comes up to you, please.
Yeah, Dizzy,
go.
Dizzy will go lay down, and that's our signal. Get the kids off the court, and then the general bad guy comes on, and he'll like, get off the court, get these kids off the court, and the kids are like making faces at them. It's like I said, it's one of the greatest opportunities and greatest things, and I thank the Globetrotters all the time.
They're so underpaid. So underpaid. I don't know how they are now, but it's 20 years ago. It seemed like it, at least to me. Again,
it's a lot of them aren't doing it for the money, and I know I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I loved, and I know I could make more money. I made more money as a first AD. I've made more money as a second AD, but just being on tour with them and seeing the rewards of those people's faces, that's why the players do it. They really do.
I have to ask you this as a fan. What was the highest you've seen somebody dunk? I've seen those guys go about this high over that rim.
So we had like really good dunkers, and they're getting almost an arm.
Guys dunk with elbows.
Yeah, you've got some really good dunkers on there, and their guys are really they get up there. I went on the 3 teams. I've been with the 3 teams, and I couldn't tell you who was the best dunker because all of them were just spectacular.
I couldn't believe the alley-oops were insane, man.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody loves those. Everybody loves the story. That side of it.
All right, so who's your favorite NBA player?
My favorite NBA player of all time
and now.
My favorite NBA player of all time is Dr. J. I loved Julius Ervings. I love the 76ers. Love the 76ers. Growing up, watching them play, I cried when they would get beat, when they would lose to the Lakers or they would lose to the Celtics and not make it to. I hated the Celtics. I absolutely hated the Celtics. Hated Boston. So Dr. J. Probably my favorite player now is Dwayne Wade. I got an opportunity.
Really like him too.
I got an opportunity to work with him and meet him. Like I said, the park that I used to work at, Boomers, he had an organization that would bring inner city kids to our park, and they get to ride the go-karts.
We're hanging out with Dwayne
golf.
Wade too.
Yeah, I got to hang with Dwayne Wade and meet him from there, and he's the nicest guy. Shaq's a nice guy too. I've met Shaq. Like I said, I've met a lot of celebrities. I know
Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
I know him real well. Cash App. Go to cash.app. Cash App, the easiest way to send money, spend money, save money, and buy cryptocurrency. Cash App believes in providing everyone with access to important financial services so they can fully participate in the economy. Sign up today for Cash App. Use the code MSCS. Additionally, once signed up, create an invite code. When a friend uses the invite code and sends $5 or more from a newly created Cash App account, another bonus will arrive within 14 days. That's cash.app, or download the app and sign up. Cash App.
I handle Hulk Hogan on sometimes when he's at conventions, so we do that, and from there that's met some actors and so forth. So yeah, it's really cool job handling and working with all these different celebrities and people.
My favorite of all time, even though I don't like what he did, is Jordan. I don't like the shit that he did. You know what I'm.
Yeah, if you watch the documentary,
and he did a lot more than that.
I still haven't watched the documentary.
Don't watch it
because I don't.
All you got to do is just ask your brother.
Yeah, my brother. And again, but Jordan, for what he accomplished, you can't.
Who cares what he did?
You can't.
I mean, what he did, that was his personal.
Yeah, like Shaq said it the other day. I was watching this interview, and Shaq's like, people are arguing that.
No, I take it back. Kobe Bryant's my favorite.
Kobe,
I loved Kobe.
I never got a chance to meet Kobe. My brother.
I met him.
My brother's good friends with Magic Johnson. He's got Magic Johnson on his phone. He can call Magic Johnson anytime.
Magic Johnson on his phone?
Yeah, my brother has a lot of people on his phone. Like DDP is one of my favorite wrestlers.
What's he gonna cost me a minute? I'm gonna need a fucking loan for him.
DDP is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I forgot where he was, but he was hanging out with DDP, and he's like, oh, I got to call my brother because my brother absolutely loves you. And he's like, hey, I got somebody that wants to meet you and talk to you. And he hands the phone to DDP, and he's like, hey, Alex, what's going on? And I'm like, is this DDP? And he's like, yeah. He's like, hey, your brother was telling me all about you. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, wow, it's like really, really cool. So Jimmy Hart, I've met and hung out with Jimmy Hart. They're nice guys. They're really, really nice guys. Very, very nice guys.
You met them all.
Yeah.
I met Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe is really cool.
Yeah. I wish I would have met Kobe. I wish I could have, but you know, I would say definitely he's in my top 5. Definitely in my top 5.
I just liked, I don't think he was, better than Dr. J. He wasn't better than Jordan.
But the game was different. And I think that's where you really like. I have a discussion with people all the time.
I agree with
and we used to always do this on the Globetrotter bus. Who's your Mount Rushmore for soccer? Who's your Mount Rushmore for football? Who's your Mount Rushmore for wrestling? Who's your Mount Rushmore for basketball? Dr. J and even like Bird and Magic, they played in a different era.
Yeah, like you could hand check.
Yeah,
remember Bill Lambier?
Yeah, if you watched the basketball from the '60s and the '70s, man, those guys were like elbowing, and it was not.
When you went down the lane, you paid for it.
Oh yeah, because they took it personal.
Now I'm not saying like Steph Curry and those guys aren't good.
Yeah.
But back then with Jordan, and Kobe came in a little bit late, but he dealt with all those heavy hitters. He went down that lane with fucking Ewing in there.
Exactly.
And he didn't care.
Yeah.
At a rookie at 19, Kobe went at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Went up to Jordan and says, "I'm going to beat you."
Yeah.
Now this guy just won 6 titles.
Yeah.
He's won the scoring title for like the last 7 years, and this little 19-year-old saying, "I'm going to beat you," and Jordan respected that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think when you're at that level of an athlete, you really have to. And again, Jordan has always had a chip on his shoulder, because he never made his high school team. He went to North Carolina and had to fight and scratch, and then came into the league and, progressed and learned. So that alpha mentality that you have to have in that atmosphere is something that you have to have when you want to be the best. You can be the hard ass, or you can be, the nice guy. Like I learned in this industry, the film and TV industry, is brutal. It's cutthroat. It's brutal. And
I know just from this little podcast, and he's one of my engineers, and then Rob, he used to work for Fox and NBC, and he did it, and he left, and I said, why'd you leave that job? Because it was a good paying job.
Yeah. He's
like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
When they call at 3 o'clock in the morning, whether it's like to click a button, you got to get up and leave and go.
Not only that, the personalities that are on there are also like I did 6 months ago. I did Let's Get Organized with the Home Edit, which is one of their top shows on Netflix. And
congratulations!
And these women, they fix up these little properties. I'm going to be on season 2. I hate being in front of the camera. And they made me come in the camera. They're like, "Oh my God, you look too gorgeous. You got to come in. You got to move this and get in here." And they talk about me.
Take
and
it as
I'm
a
like,
compliment. Take it as a compliment.
So they're the women that worked on that, Clea, they're so sweet. But you have to understand and know how to handle those people. And I got that from working with the WWE. I got that with, just the customer service. Like I tell people all the time, if you really want to be a good actor, or you really want to learn how to handle customer service, work in the theme park business, because you got to be in the weather, 90-degree weather at Disney World, and it's smuggy and it's hot, and people are asking you the stupidest freaking questions all the time.
Crying,
and you got to sit there, smile, and
kids crying.
Yeah, you've got to sit there smiling and be happy, and So it really, Disney helped me understand people, how to navigate and maneuver with people and around people, and how to treat people. But my mentor is the one who taught me in this business, you can be either a jerk and an asshole, and you can make plenty of money. There's plenty of directors and producers out there that people won't work with, but these guys are making $1 million movies, hundreds of millions of dollar movies, but nobody likes working with them. Or you can be that guy that, you don't know everything. You might break equipment once in a while, but every single time, whether I'm on a set or at a stage show, or anytime I'm at an event, I go to every single person that's on crew and I shake their hand. Good morning. I thank them at the end of the night, shaking their hand. I did that every single time I left NXT. There's a gorilla, which is the area where all of the producers and the writers are. At the end of the night, after the show was over and they're getting ready to get in their meeting, I walk through and I'm shaking Scott Armstrong's hand, I'm shaking Billy Gunn's hand, I'm shaking Hunter's hand, I'm shaking Dusty's hand, I'm shaking everybody's hand, and I'm thanking them for allowing me to be part of this. And that goes a long way, because it shows the older people that you have a respect for not only them, but you have a respect for the business. And you there's things that you don't do, and so many of these kids come out of college or come into college and they think, I'm going to be the next Scorsese and I'm going to do this. They'll come on set as a PA and they're trying to tell the DP how to frame a shot or what to do. And I'm like, dude, get your ass over here, sit down and shut up. Don't go near.
Doing this for 20 years.
Don't go near Video Village. Don't ask them for anything. Don't tell them anything. And there's that professionalism that these kids nowadays they don't have. I've coached soccer for 30 years and I walked away 3 years ago because every parent thinks that their kid is a Messi, and why isn't my kid should be the center forward. Your kid doesn't understand how I want the game to play.
Alex,
and that's the problem.
It's that trophy shit.
It is.
It started with that trophy shit when they said everybody had to be even.
Yeah, it is.
Now, Dennis Rodman would not be Dennis Rodman if everybody was even.
Yeah.
He had to work to get where he was.
Absolutely.
Same with everybody else.
Absolutely.
And now you want to give everybody a trophy because that's fair.
Absolutely. It's like you got to earn it. You got to come
what
out.
Your brother has to say about that.
Yeah, he hates it. He hates it.
I hate it just as much as him.
And that's the thing. It's like when you're in this business, like I don't ask for no handouts. People see my stuff, see my work ethic. The get organized with the home edit. They've already said we want you back for season 3. And when we get back to season 3, they're not getting me as a PA. I believe that I've got the education and the skills and the knowledge that I can work as a producer. I can work as an associate producer, and that's what when they come to ask me, that'll be my negotiations.
If you made it down far, I mean, you're basically there.
Oh yeah, like my show, like the show is the ultimate goal, which is why we created the comic, which is why we're doing the things that we want to do, because not only we have this show, but we have a lot of other shows and a lot of other ideas that we have. Like my production partner right now, we've got a movie that we're trying to get funding for in there. So we're doing that. We're trying to get everything because we want to showcase the talent that we have, the cast that we want to do. And we're not just creating these characters and making these characters diverse just for the reason of diversity. I'm a very diverse person. I grew up, in Jamaica, we don't see race. They see more of a classism. That's what the bad side of Jamaica is. So I never see a person. I let the people's actions speak for themselves. However, I do understand that people have prejudices and people have biases, and it's my job to understand that. And I learned that from watching Golden Girls. Believe it or not, there was an episode with Don Cheadle, and it was a rebel flag. And
my grandma used to watch it all day long.
Yeah, and he basically came to the point where the hardest thing for people, and I think the reason why we have so much issues, is because nobody wants to admit that they're wrong. Nobody. And
I couldn't agree with you more.
And not only that, people across the aisle, you've got to admit that you're on the wrong side of the aisle. But my job is to say to you and allow you the time to adjust, because it's a hard pill to swallow to say, damn, that something that I might have learned might be racist as shit. And it's a hard look at yourself.
Why do you think, Alex, that people have such a tough time just saying, I'm wrong, or I messed up, or I did do it.
Because we're not programmed to. Nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be
this is black, right?
Yeah.
This is red.
Yeah.
But say you think that this is purple.
Yeah.
You'll argue with me for, not you, but like
I know.
I know women that will argue with me for 3 years because they think this is purple. Is that from raising?
Honestly, it's about control. Nobody wants to admit that they're wrong, and people don't want to lose power. And that's whether you're on the right, on the left, a Democrat or Republican, it is about power. And they don't want to lose the power.
Good call.
And that's and some people really have to take a harsh look at themselves and understand
Great point.
that the power is going to dwindle, and the next person that's going to be the next fad is going to take that power from you. And if you are not ready, that's what's happening. And that's because we never had this shit. And again, we never had this divisiveness during Reagan. We never had this divisiveness during Clinton. And it's gotten to the point where everybody's just about keeping their stroke, keeping that shine on them, and fuck everybody else. And I honestly don't. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. We should be able to diametrically be different from each other and have different ideologies and go, you know what? Let's go get a drink. Let's go out. I drive Uber. I'm a part-time. And I remember I picked up this guy. And again, if you've ever been to Orlando has this Disney World type quality, but outside and around Orlando, it's country. It's country as fuck.
It's country.
So I picked up this guy at this bar, and I pull in, and he comes out of this bar. It's a dive bar in the sticks. And I'm like driving, getting in. I pick up anybody and have a conversation with anybody. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, because I know I can articulate my ideas without being threatening, and I can articulate my ideas to where you can go, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. So this guy comes out of the bar and he's got a Let's Go Brandon shirt on, and I'm like, okay, he's got a Let's Go Brandon shirt on. Just gonna pick him up. Go in, pick him up. We start talking. Hey man, thanks for picking me up. I've been waiting. No, I barely get any Ubers out here. It's in the middle of the sticks. I really appreciate it. I said, no problem, dude. You're having a good night? Yeah, you're having a good night. So I forgot something. He said something, and then he started talking about like, well, you know, I appreciate it, and you know, are you having a hard time out here? I said, no, man, I get along with everybody. He's like, oh, that's so refreshing to hear that. So then we start talking, and I go, I really don't like talking politics with people. And again, I don't want to make you offended or don't want to offend you, but that's my policy for the last 3 years, and it's kept me happy, is that I won't talk politics with you if you can't name the 3 branches of government. And so he's like thinking, he's like, well, it's the legislative, it's the judicial, and it's the executive. Yeah. I go, yeah, good job, man. He's like, so can you talk politics with me? I said, yeah, whatever you want to hear. Well, why do you think this, and why do you think they're after Trump, and why do you think blah, 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 blah? And I said, here's my standings on what I feel about Trump and why I think this way about him. And you go, my red line was the Central Park Five. I just can't forgive him for that. What he did and what he said and what happened and how they railroaded these kids. Not to say that these kids were angels, but there is a due process that's in this country, and that's where I think so we started talking, and it was like a 20-minute drive because I was taking him to the drag show, the drag race, which is out in the sticks, and he's like, dude, turn off your meter and come hang with me and this and that. And I said, dude, I got to make some money. I'd love it, but here's my Facebook, here's my Instagram, hit me up, we can talk, we can chat. And he's getting out the car, he goes, you know, I'm just using this shirt as just a joke, right? I said, dude, I don't even care about it. It's people were saying fuck Trump and you're saying fuck Biden. That's it. Whatever. But I should be able to have a conversation with you.
Open mind.
And be open-minded to your ideas and the things that you're going through and the idea and how you were brought up, and understand where you're coming from. And I think we've gotten this line in the sand on both sides that you cross this and da-da-da-da-da. And there's 3 things that's my red line. You know, racism, blatant racism, white supremacy, racism, bigotry, and then homophobia. You know, I'm a gay black man.
So what?
You know, and if you cross those lines, there's only so far. I can have a conversation with you, but when you become belligerent and abusive, then I can't fuck with you. That's it. But we should be able to go and have arguments, and they used to do that. Tip O'Neill and all those guys in the 70s and 80s would yell and scream at each other, throw shit at each other, and then as soon as they got out of those doors, out of Congress, they're drinking, they're partying, they're doing all the different
They're making deals, all kinds of dirty deals. Yeah, look, who gives a shit?
And that's the problem.
Whatever makes you happy, whatever makes me happy, whatever makes him happy, whatever. As long as you treat me good, I treat you good.
And that's what we need to get back to.
Whatever the fuck you do on your own time, whatever I do on my own time, who gives a fuck?
That's what you have to get back to, and we've lost that.
Everybody's got this closed mind. Like, if you're this, then this stigmatism on you. If you're this, this stigmatism. Who gives a fuck?
Most Def said, and this was one of my favorite quotes from Most Def.
But Alex, can you imagine if we just stopped giving a fuck?
Yeah.
If you're homosexual, you're non-homosexual, you're black, you're white, you're purple, you're green. If we forgot all about that and put all of the smart minds together,
we would accomplish everything, which is what my story, like I said, with Soul is about. It's about these people coming together. Yes, the corporations are there, and it's not an anti-corporation. Corporations have done good, you know, but it's about coming together and uniting. What would it really take? Because unless, you know, you'd think a virus would unite us, but it didn't. It divided us even more. And my opinion is both of those sides, of pro-virus or pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine, the marketing was shitty. Whoever marketed both of those and came up with the idea and the campaigns, they need to be fired, period. But that's what the problem is. Yeah. Most Def said it best. He was on Bill Maher a couple years ago, and he's like, everybody's become so tribal. Crip, blood, black, white, Decepticon, Transformer, you know. And
you would think like after Tupac and Biggie,
that everybody would deal with that. Exactly.
Those guys were young men that worked their ass off. This asshole Puffy.
Yeah.
I still think Puffy has something to do with it. I had Greg Caden in. Greg Caden was in here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the episode.
I didn't see that one. That was one of them I had lined up.
and I was positive he was going to tell me that Puffy was behind it.
Puffy was behind Tupac.
No, he wasn't. No, Orlando Anderson killed him.
Yeah. Oh.
But Puffy did wire $1 million to somebody named Keefe.
Oh.
But Keefe signed an agreement that if he told him everything, they had to let him go because he got hit with all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So all they knew was that there was a huge war with Tupac, Suge, and P. Diddy. And P. Diddy, remember, he was just that guy, right? And then everybody's gone, and now he becomes a billionaire.
He's a mogul.
But he was scared to death of Suge Knight.
Oh yeah, everybody.
I'm scared to death.
Everybody's scared of Suge. I'm not saying bad. Yeah, I'm not saying nothing bad about Suge.
Hey, I hope they give you a really good. Hey, look, if I could give you my crackers, I'd give them to you.
Yeah, I'm not saying nothing bad about Suge.
Hell no.
You'll never know who's listening, and I'm.
But you know what, dude? A friend of mine met him in California.
Yeah.
And just met him like casually out at a bar. He picked up the tab, drove him home, and I don't know what conversation they had, nothing illegal. Yeah. And the kid or the guy said, "Hey, can I come see one of the Death Row Studios and just hang out?" And Suge let him come and everything. I heard he's not like
I heard he's not that he's got the reputation. And again, same thing like Dennis. The reputation is what drives everybody. If you're in that business, which is cutthroat as fuck, and you're supposed to be soft, or you come across as soft, you're going to get taken advantage of.
You're going to get eaten.
So if you go in and you're the shark that's eating everything up and dominating everything, absolutely you're going to. Death Row was the biggest freaking record. They were big. They were huge.
Who was bigger?
Who was huge? Nobody was.
They had Dre.
Yeah.
Pac.
Yeah.
In their prime.
Yeah. Snoop. Yeah.
The Outlaws.
Yeah.
Who else?
They had Nate Dogg. They had everybody. They were killing it.
Warren G.
Yeah, they were absolutely killing it. And again, who's going to fuck with them?
Nobody.
Exactly. But if you would have come across as the nice guy, I take care of my rap. No, he had to be that guy. He had to be the guy, and I can respect that. Scared of shit, but I can respect that.
Scared of shit too. I think he was probably a perfect guy. Nice. Yeah. Doing business with them. That's a scary thing.
Yeah. But again, it's
making him mad is a real scary thing.
That's the one thing that I'm learning as I'm progressing and building my empire, as I like to call it, is that the business aspect of stuff, asking people for money, fundraising, that's what I have to get better at. The storytelling, and I leave that actually to my producer Valesky, and then Evan is my other guy. So those are the two guys that are kind of like, you just be the creative guy. We're going to worry about this. We're going to worry about that. We're going to put this together. We're going to put that together. Valensky's putting one movie together right now that we're trying to do, and he's bringing me on as a producer. We've got another movie that we've done with another friend of ours that I'm either going to be the first AD or the director on it, and it's kind of like an urban hood movie. So James Hunter and First Dibs Production, they've done a bunch of like really urban drama. They're good. He's got distribution deals and so forth. So that's the lane that they're in, understanding that. I understand distribution. I can tell you what routes we can go, but it's always weird for me to just sit down in front of somebody and start talking and ask about money. So they just say, you just talk about the project, tell people what the project's about, and that's going to attract more people.
So now when you go to make a movie, right? Say you have like a low budget movie, and then you have like a mid-budget movie, and then you have the Johnny Depps, the Brad Pitts, and all that. So like how much is a low budget movie? Like one that will make it to the theaters, you're kind of going to get like CD list actors that might one day be A.
So you can do a $50,000 movie.
That's not
and James has done those. Even like for Soul. When we budgeted Soul, if we got Soul into the hands of, let's say, a Netflix or an Amazon, we've budgeted it out to be per episode about $1.5 million just for the episode. But that also is contingent on talent. Certain talented actors you're going to have to pay a lot of money for. Like if you bring Robert Downey Jr. on your film, he's going to want either 20, 50 million, or he's going to take points.
I've seen it with my own eyes. So on that 1.5, that house that you're walking around in, that's coming out of that 1.5.
Yeah.
The other actors around you, that's coming out that 1.5.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that 1.5 is like maybe $400K. And then you got taxes.
And that's what we try to do. So I'm trying to match up. Like I went to Valencia College, which is the best technical school on the planet.
Beast.
It's amazing.
And
we've done 40. Yeah, and we've done 40 movies. 40 movies at that school. So they're coming in to co-produce Soul we're doing the web series, which is about a 25-minute episode. They're coming in and co-producing it. They have a $15 million camera and grip and electric package. They got Reds,
red cameras.
They've got Reds. They've got Alexas. They've got everything. They've got.
You got to see one of these Reds one day.
Oh yeah, we shot on that. They've got Steadicam arms. They've got jibs. They've got They've got everything. They've got a generator.
The line mover.
Yeah, they've got the dolly. They've got everything. So they've got that. So now I don't have to worry about camera, which can anywhere run you from $2,000 to $5,000 a day, depending on what camera you're using. So I don't have to worry about camera. I don't have to worry about lights.
Reds, buddy. It's gonna be a lot.
Well, I'm probably gonna use the Alexa. I like the Alexa. It's a smarter camera, a nicer camera. They've got the Canons and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure that out.
Canons are really good.
Yeah. So they've got those, and we've got those. So now if you can offset that, then that's a budget, something that you now can take that, what would be $35,000 in camera and electric. Now you can push that into put something else. So you could get that next B-less level actor. So that's kind of what you want to do is when you're trying to maneuver around. So if you got a 50K movie, but a 50K urban drama is way easier to shoot than a 50K sci-fi drama. Like with my sci-fi right now, we have to build the sets for the space station. We have to build the sets for the cockpit of the shuttle. So we're going to kind of use virtual production like what they do on Mandalorian, where there's a video screen, Unreal Engine. So we're trying to incorporate a lot of that and build the hallway corridor. That'll be a practical effect, and then we'll have the actors on wires as they're floating through the space station.
See, I'm a coder by nature. Like I code.
Okay.
Like I know how to code. I can type code and recode. And I would think it would cost more to pay somebody to code that all up than just to build the prop.
Oh, it does. My ship, to do a CG ship, I was quoted anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 just to do a motion and get the ship moving and build it. Yeah. It's expensive.
It's all coding, man.
It's expensive. And the practical, you just would need a sound stage, and even sound stage, and you'll probably maybe pay, like, right now we've probably budgeted out like $15,000 for our set that we're going to build, which is the cockpit, and it'll be practical, but it'll also be with some CG elements. We'll have like a green square, and then we can put a digital element in there where it will rotate or change colors or something. So that's what we're kind of doing. So you can do those movies like the urban films, or like a comedy, or like a drama that doesn't have heavy stunts or gunplay or any type of car.
I love comedy.
So you'll do some stuff like that. So those are the movies that a lot of these companies will try to do, and they'll do turn and burns. That's what the $50,000 to $60,000.
It's kind of like a test it out type of thing.
Yeah. So you'll do that. You'll make this movie. It'll be an hour or 2 hours, and then you spend 50 to 60 to 70K, and then you'll get your distribution in like Africa or Europe, and then the distributor will pay you, $100,000 for distribution on whatever the streaming service in Africa is. So now you've just made $50,000 on your movie that you only spent $50,000 for. So that's what really a lot of these streaming services and networks are really trying to do. They're trying to bring in stuff at low cost, and then you sell it, distribute it at high.
Now, say you want to go medium, you want to start medium, and I'm talking where you can get like a Bradley Cooper. He's like a B-list actor.
If you can get a B-list actor, then...
Name a B-list actor.
I would probably say maybe somebody like maybe
like
Johnny Knoxville type, like that type of level.
Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, that type of level. You can bring
like
them in.
Richard Gere, that's kind of a little bit older.
So if you bring in those guys and you've got them in, and you've got a LOI or commitment from them, then you can basically leverage some of your budget on them. I've got to bring in, I bring in a Johnny Knoxville for my movie. He's going to cost me $30K. So then the investors go, okay, that's going to be $30K. You've got a big following with them. We'll give you your $30K as a for Johnny Knoxville, and then you could use that for whatever, or we'll bring in $60K.
Now, is that a ton of meetings to
That's
get
a lot of meetings.
It's a lot of back and forth.
So we've got a couple actors, like my wish list for some of the actors. David Ramsey, I'd love to bring on my show. I've got a part for him. Hey, David, if you're listening. I actually met him through Hulk Hogan when we were handling him. But David Ramsey would be somebody that I would love to bring on board. But I know, like, he just did it was the movie with the White Ranger. Oh, they just did it's this group, these fans, they do kind of like these fan films, and they brought in the kid who plays the White Ranger from the Power Rangers. They brought him in, and they brought in David Ramsey, and I think they did a Kickstarter, and they probably made like $200,000 in the Kickstarter to bring them in.
Yeah, even I know what that is.
And then they'll probably use that money that they did for the $200K. They'll throw David Ramsey whatever his rate was going to be, as well as the other guy, or they'll give him a executive producing credit. So that's kind of what you're trying to really do, is trying to negotiate. But a lot of times you have to deal with the managers, and the managers, they're going to want money, how many days you got them, how many days you need them, and this is what the rate is for one of them. Like I've got an actor that I'm trying to get, and his rate we'll probably need about $20K just to bring him in. And it's just, then you have to say, is it really worth doing that? So we're right now trying to do this 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
You have to turn into a logistical guy.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're trying to do this 20, 30 minutes, and we're like, we can't really get any big name actors, but if we do this really well and people say, oh shit, let's redo this or let's reshoot this with, now you got, $1.5 million coming in, then great, that's it. You do that. So it's a lot of negotiating. It's a lot of trying to get hustles and trying to get people in.
Now, I read a lot more than just your website about you doing pitches.
Okay.
And I was reading when you were in college.
Yeah.
You broke the, I couldn't take it off top, cover fly record.
So
you wrote 67,000?
No, the ranking was, so Coverfly is a website that basically you can put your
it
script.
Puts writers out there for them to
so
see.
it puts your script out. So your script is there, and then they have these contests throughout. You can apply for contests on Coverfly, and you can they have a pitch contest. So during the pitch contest, I made it to the quarterfinalist, but they rank your screenplay based off of how they perform in the various screenwriting contests. And out of 6,777 or something like that, my script is in the top 25% of those scripts.
Congratulations. So
it's pretty good. I want to get the red list. Red list is the list that actual producers and executives go to. It's like the blacklist. There's like 4 or 5 of these famed lists, and if you can make those, and it's usually like 20 to 50 scripts, if you can get on those lists, you're the hot commodity everybody wants. So my goal is to get on Coverfly's red list, which I think there's 4 contests that I'm in right now, and I think I'm probably going to make quarterfinalists at least on 1 or 2. But again, the script has really matured. We're on our 7th revision. It's way different. Like if you read script version number 1 to script version number 7,
I bet
it's so different. So I like meticulous storytelling. I like very slow builds. I'm not your average American story or film, because the American film market or American films, it's get to the story. They want to see the aliens. They want to see the car chases. They want to see the hot women. They want to see the hot guys. And that's kind of, I try to do this slow burn and slow build. And it's building the world that I want to show the audience. Like when I went on not Kickstarter, I was on Clubhouse, and I started a room world building in the science fiction world. And we're sitting there talking, and we started with like 5 people, and then they got up to like 100 people in the room. And one of the people in the room was Ben Bauer. So if you've ever watched Farscape or Stargate SG-1, he's like the lead on those 2 shows. He shows up in my room, and I'm like, that can't be him. I can't. So I'm like, I'd like to bring someone up on the stage because we can talk about world building, and I'm not sure if you'll come on, but if you raise your hand, Mr. Bauer, I would love to have a conversation because you're one of my guys that I've watched. I've watched Stargate. I watched Farscape. I love Farscape.
Raise the hand thing?
I love Farscape. I absolutely love Farscape. And he raised his hand, he came up and he talked with us for like an hour.
It's cool.
And that was like, oh my God, that's like so cool. And so the getting that reputation and building the reputation, the storytelling from what I had from script 1 to script 7, I didn't have my aliens. And I would show people the script, and people were like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I would show them my concept art, and they would see the aliens and see all the characters and see all the ships. And they're like, dude, I got to see the aliens. Because I wasn't planning on seeing the aliens for at least a season to season.
You're trying to make it slow.
Because I'm trying to make it slow, but also on a financial standpoint, which is, again, that difference between that 50 million. Like I have one of the designers, the big Star Wars hotel that they're building, the spaceship one.
Yeah.
He's doing all of
the render looks crazy.
He's designing all of the costumes and the aliens, and he's literally creating all the prosthetics for the aliens. He's one of my guys that I'm bringing on board. So I have the Lakchi. They're supposed to be 7 feet tall and reptilian. So my buddy Zach, who is my, the wrestler, we've already, I'm going to get in, but it's going to cost me probably like $5,000 to $7,000 just to do the costume, the prosthetics. We have to do a full body cast of him, but I want that. That's like my goal, is to get that money so I can bring Tony on board, and I can have Zek as 7 feet tall in this reptilian come out of the darkness, because I want it to be intimidating, but they're kind of like, this is why they use humans, because they're very self-conscious about what they look like, and it's almost like part of the play of they're not really what they think, because you would think some big scary monster is going to be this vicious, and they're very gentle. They're very, they find religion.
They're the opposite of what you would think.
Yeah, opposite, and that's what we play on.
But like I was reading, like after you broke that record, you won that, and then you learned from those 12 years, I believe it was. From those 12 years, you learned how to pitch to like a streaming company and a network company.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
So somebody who's watching and they're in those shoes, when you go to pitch to a network, what's the difference between pitching to a network and a streaming? So
the networks,
I mean, like what wording would you use differently?
So for the networks, their big thing, and it's an antiquated system, which is the Nielsen ratings. You have to understand that that's what they're looking for. They're looking for something that's going to get them numbers and drive their numbers, because that's how networks make their money. Although now they're, Peacock is streaming, so now they don't really have to worry about that, but they still have that network that's out there. So you have to be able to, when your pitch, they want to know what is this series and story about? Who's my character? Who's my main character? What's his journey, and so forth. Streaming, they're a little bit more, they've already got the fish. They've already got the fish in the barrel. It's now, how do I get the eyes of those fish in the barrel to pick out my show, rather than watch, Get Organized with the Home Edit or Queer Eye or any of the other shows that they have on there. What's going to bring my viewers or my captive audience to watch you? Whereas in the networks are like, we have to get this broad span. We don't have people that are, paying a subscription that are going in there. So you have to understand, when you're pitching to that market, it's got to be flash, boom, five pages and you're in, and you got to get to the story. Whereas in the network, whereas in streaming, it's almost like you're a little bit more, you can be a little bit more reserved, because they're already there. They just want to know, how are you going to keep them there and keep them watching your show? A perfect example was Cowboy Bebop. I love Cowboy Bebop. I love the animation. I thought the animation was cool. It was great. I watched it then. And when the series came out, I was in. I'm still in. I still think it's a mistake for Netflix to get rid of that. But I understand that there was such a pushback from some of the hardcore fans. Fanboys can be some of the worst enemies, and that's kind of what ruined it, because they didn't like what Faye looked like. You can't do Faye from the anime on TV. She's got her tits are out. She's got a short skirts, and you can't do that, not in this day and age. If it was 20, 30 years ago, maybe you can get away with it, but you can't do that. And the fans were brutal, and they killed it. But it's a really smart show, because they shot it with the idea that these are the fans that are going to come and watch it, and they're already there. Now we just have to tell these stories, but we're not going to tell the same stories that you saw in the anime. They twisted it up a little bit, which I thought was great. So that was their niche, was they found that we're going to tell the same story run, but we're going to switch it and change it up a little bit to make it new and make it refreshing. Whereas if you're going against a network, you got to get in there and you got to slam them. You got to hit them hard. You got to get them to really want to get that show on the network. And that's the difference.
So basically the networks, they have to look at every number, every rating, every loss, because they're looking at Nielsen's, they're spending a gazillion dollars. With the streaming. Yeah. I would think, just from what you're telling me, they're a lot easier, because, they sign you, they give you whatever. It doesn't work out. Yeah. They got 30 other people. Exactly. They're just like you. They're just streaming it. Exactly. It is what it is.
Exactly. Netflix has 130 million subscribers or something like that.
Do you know who runs their video? You're going to die.
Who?
Do you know who runs their, like when you put it on Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
No, I don't know who runs
So whenever you're watching something on Netflix, you'll fall over.
Yeah.
Vimeo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Vimeo? Yeah. Like the
service.
Everybody forgot about, because they have the best quality video, everything. Yeah. So like, say you shot in 720.
Yeah.
If you have like their enterprise package or something, they can take a 2-hour 720p film
and push it up
to 4K.
Yeah. Well, Netflix,
Spotify, Dior, Estee Lauder, all that video.
Yeah,
it's all them.
Netflix makes you shoot in 4K, so you can't present anything to them if it's not already in 4K. So that's also what's changing the dynamic of the games. You can't, like, everybody has a cell phone now. Your iPhone shoots in 4K, so it's there, and you can get it going and get it moving. But like I said, the difference with the networks, they don't have that guaranteed 150 million subscribers, and you can see it through their Nielsen's ratings. Their Nielsen ratings will stay at if you're getting a 0.2 or a 0.7, you know what that is. That's how many eyes they're estimating. But Netflix knows for a fact that they've got they don't even release their numbers. I think Disney's probably right now the #1 streaming, Disney Plus. I think they probably hit another 200.
Why does Netflix and Apple not release the numbers? I mean, Apple releases their kind of quarterly numbers.
I think I don't want to say it's protected, but I think they're kind of don't want to give away what they really are, because, and this is the thing that people also don't understand, Netflix has so many divisions and so many from outside of the country. Like, you have some stuff that will go on Netflix, like they just announced, like even with Disney Plus is bringing all of their Netflix Disney shows, the Marvel shows, they're releasing them on Disney Plus, but it's only Disney Plus Canada. Disney Plus US is not getting them yet.
Working with?
Yeah.
Showtime.
Okay, yeah.
They made a deal with Showtime.
Yeah.
Because, like, like the new movies, you can watch on Showtime. Yep. So there's, like, I don't know, 15%.
Yeah.
And the umbrella under that is Universal. Yeah. And the other umbrella is Lionsgate.
Yeah.
No, not Lionsgate.
Yeah.
Paramount.
Yep.
It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Because
never
like,
ending.
as a developer,
when
you're in the code, you can see everything.
Yeah.
Code don't lie.
Yeah.
So if you're using Vimeo or you're using your dad's backyard to shoot video, you could see it in the fucking code.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Now being that you've been through all this and you've seen all this, without getting me banned, do you ever see this be careful with everything you say going away, or do you think this is how it is? Or do you think another company will come along and change that? And to me, this is just my opinion, the only one that could do it is Apple. I don't think anybody else has the ecosystem that could do it. I
think, and I've actually had this conversation with people about this cancel culture. I think free speech is the greatest thing, and I'll defend people on their free speech to say whatever they want, no matter how heinous or bad it is. I don't think, and again, when you look at the First Amendment really, and people, I always get people on this, well, you're going against my First Amendment rights. I said, the First Amendment only actually applies to government. So you can say whatever the hell you want, and I can disagree, and I can try to get you to stop or change. That has nothing to do with it if you understand what the First Amendment really is. So I don't think it'll ever go away. I think corporations are trying to protect their brand. And I said this about two actors, and I don't know the two actors personally, like Gina Carano, and then if you ever watch Sense8, the actor who played Kofus.
If I wasn't coding all the time, I wouldn't be able to watch.
So there was a movie that came out. There's a TV show that came out on Netflix called Sense8, and it was done by the Wachowskis. The Wachowskis did Matrix. They did Speed Racer. Brilliant directors, transitioned from male to female, so they're trans, and that show was the #1 show on Netflix. Everybody watched it, loved it. It was great. This actor was replaced.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Speaking of that, what Kendall Jenner did when she whatever the situation is with, I thought that was some balls.
Yeah.
When she came out and said, "Look, a man can't go against a woman."
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's you're getting really into a lot of
just crazy
how things are, and I think, like I said, going on the cancel culture, I think when people get their notions on what it is, they have to understand that the brand, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Apple, whether it's with Facebook, they are trying to protect your brand. And when you sign that contract as a worker for that brand,
they own you.
They own you. They do. So you're taking it upon yourself. And again, Gina Carano, she said what she said. She made a mistake. She tried to own up and she tried to go against it. But then she turns right back around after. If Disney tells me to shut the fuck up, I'm taking my $20 million and I'm shutting the fuck. I won't even go on Facebook. I won't even go on Instagram. I won't go on anything. It's done. I'm going to turn it off. My brother will tell you this when you ask my brother. That's on them. Oh, they're going against my First Amendment rights. I can say whatever I want. You are an employee of them. I'm a former employee of the WWE.
What
I would
what
love.
don't these people get?
I don't get it.
Okay, these big companies have gazillion-dollar lawyers.
Yeah.
When you sign that, there's probably no, not probably, because
There
I've been down this bad
There
road.
is.
There's a gazillion things in there that you're never going to understand, and the lawyer that you or I or Ben can afford,
Yeah.
cannot read what that says.
No.
These are billion-dollar companies, and as soon as you put that ink on that pen,
Yeah. That's it. And you have to understand that. So she said what she said, and the kid who was the actor for the first season of Sense8, you're on the #1 freaking show. It at the time was the most expensive show because they were shooting in Kenya, then going to Iceland, then going to Germany, and then going to the United States. So they were traveling all over the world, and they're bringing the entire crew and all these casts there because they have to shoot all the sequence.
and then some of them go up to 6K.
Yeah.
Like if you got 6K TV, you
Yeah.
can watch it in 6K.
He
Imagine how much
basically
that costs.
he basically came out and said some very transphobic stuff. You're working for two of the biggest names in Hollywood that are transsexuals, and you go and say something. That's just, and then you lose your job, and then you're all upset, dude.
Why don't you just mind your business?
Shut your mouth.
Just mind your business.
You're on the biggest show on Netflix,
making a killing.
killing it.
Go to work. Go home to your family.
Exactly. And they replaced him. And the same thing with Gina Carano. They told Gina Carano, do not go back on. Don't say nothing. Don't do anything. And she was set. She was absolutely set. That character was set to go to the freaking moon.
Well, now they're looking in the bank account as it dwindles on that.
I'm like, I
$800,000 a month mortgage.
I feel for her, but if that was me in that situation, I don't care.
Me neither.
I don't care how strong-minded you are or whatever. I'm not going to, like, I want to get back to the WWE. I would love to get back to the WWE. And I had a great relationship with the WWE. I want to get back. I would love to get back and work with Disney. I had a great relationship with Disney. Globetrotters, same thing. COVID was what stopped me from working with the Globetrotters. I'm not gonna burn that bridge. I'm not gonna burn either one of those bridges. Everything that I did, I had a great time. And that's honestly me telling you. I had a great time working for those companies. And if those companies called me tomorrow and said, come back, I would be back in a heartbeat, because and I understand what I was getting into. And like when we fly, you have to be dressed up. You have to stop and sign autographs. People want to take pictures. You can be 5 minutes, your flight's taking off in 5 minutes. You have to friendly say to them, hey, let me take this picture real quick, but I got to get on my airplane. I cannot miss my airplane.
No. You mean like, hey, you need to get on the airplane.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that was one of the hardest things is like the Globetrotters would literally, the rope was like a 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And once the timer went off, we stopped signing autographs. And there would be Globetrotters that are still sitting there with a line of 15 people signing autographs.
That's awesome.
And we got to get on the bus, and I got to be the bad guy and go over and take that marker and apologize and say, I got to get.
That killed you.
Oh, it did. But I would always say, I got to get them fed, guys. We have to be up and ready to go we're going to Cleveland at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's 11 o'clock now. We got to get back to the hotel. It's 2 hours. I apologize. I'm sorry. And I would literally have the basketball as they're signing, or take a basketball and run with them as they're signing, and then run it back. Just trying to make it, an experience. So it was great. So that's the thing. You gotta understand, this is what the life is, and this is what the sacrifices is. And yeah, you can be opinionated. Yeah, you can hate whatever, but if the company tells you stop, you stop. You absolutely stop.
How do you think you get people back into the right work ethic? Like I know I go around now and people don't want to go to work, all kinds of stuff. But this was happening way before all this bullshit.
I think, and I tell people this all the time. This is going to be a big argument for me. I think you have to treat people right, but the threat really isn't. And I tell people this all the time. The threat ain't some person that's coming from Mexico or a foreign worker, or the threat is not somebody doesn't want to work. The problem is technology. That's the biggest threat.
Robots.
Oh, huh.
Part two.
I tell
robots
people,
are part two.
I tell people, and so I was in Austin with my grandniece and her husband, and he'd never seen the Animatrix. And the Animatrix is about it's these 7 stories that are written by some of the top animators of their time, telling individual stories of that took place in the world of the Matrix. So they had the history of the Matrix. How did the Matrix really start? How did the war really start? And they tell you it started because an AI robot committed murder. It murdered its family because the family was abusing it and wanted to destroy it. And in the animation, you see it, and the cat, it's a cat lady and her husband, and they had like 20 cats. The robot killed everything. I'm talking about everything. They killed the people, the cats, and everything. And they went on trial. And what was at trial was the robot, the AI had evolved where it didn't want to die. And these people were going to destroy it, and it didn't want to die, so it rebelled. And that's what caused the rebellion. And I keep telling people, I just saw an article on YouTube, on Yahoo. They already have, White Castle has a robot arm that fries French fries.
Oh no, China's got better than that.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh,
The printing houses. They've got robots that print houses. They've got. Have you seen the Amazon Go store?
I didn't see that one.
Okay,
I saw the one that looked exactly like a woman.
So
100% like a woman. She
yeah.
went around. She brought food to the guy.
But it gets better. So Amazon has a store, and it's in Seattle, and it's basically there's no cash registers, there's no checkout line. You literally have your app. You scan the QR code on your app on your phone to get into the doors. You walk over. You want a gallon of milk. You pick the milk up, put it in your shopping cart, and then you walk out. And it goes into your little Amazon Prime box, and you just bought milk, and then you go home. Nothing. There's probably 5 people running that store, and all they're doing is restocking. No, the security is these gates. You can't get through those gates without it.
Get through it because the robot's bringing it out.
So that there is. Did
you know that?
Yeah, there's a company. There's a company in. Well, Tesla's already talking about doing driverless cars to pick up for Uber, to compete with Uber. There is a company in Orlando. They're out in Lake Nona, which is out north or southwest Orlando. They're building autonomous drones that will fly you from Orlando to Tampa. That's where their first starports are going to be. Is one in Lake Nona and one in Tampa, and it'll fly you in a drone, 4-person drone, autonomous, no pilot, will fly you from Orlando to Tampa in 30 minutes. It's an hour and a half in traffic, 2 hours.
You know, I know that you know who this is, Brian Cox. He's one of the top forensic scientists that there is.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah,
Brian Cox. He's always dealing with who's the Lazar.
Yeah,
he's always talking
Bob
about Lazar like in private. You know what I mean? Bob Lazar ain't lying.
Yeah,
there's no way that man's lying.
Why do you think I have my show on aliens and civilization? I study and watch everything.
There's no that guy. I always say this on this show when this comes up, and I'll make it really quick because I want to get to your book again and everything else. But the guy said something in 1972 with big goggle, you know, like the Coke goggles, glasses.
Yeah.
And he said there was this element. No, there wasn't. There's this S4. No, there isn't. 20 years later. On the element chart, there's the NE.
Yeah.
Gee, there's S4.
Yeah.
And this guy said the exact same. Nobody that's lying.
Yeah.
In this, I don't care if you're Elon Musk, who God knows what his IQ is, or anybody else who's possibly smarter that we don't know about, cannot go 20, 30 years and not change their story if they're lying.
If they're lying, exactly. That's one of the things, like I said, I love about my story that I'm trying to tell. Like the technology, like when you get into the story, there's going to be, because when the Tatari, that's the humans who've come back, they've returned, they've got all these advanced technology. But there's 2 caveats to the story and the technology. The technology is only so advanced because the human body can only tolerate certain aspects of radio. Like my big fight with like my brother and I, we always constantly. He's a huge Elon Musk fan. He absolutely.
I love.
I think Elon Musk is a genius. I think he's an ingenuitive genius. He is the Ford of our generation. He is. My brother thinks he's Einstein. I said no, he's not Einstein. He's the Ford.
I think he's Einstein.
He's not Einstein. Einstein had theories of relativity, and he hasn't done that.
Okay.
But let me finish. Let me finish
Okay,
first.
all right, that's fair.
So and I'll show you why I probably have a problem with some of the stuff that he does. But so with our technology in the story, it's advanced, but it's not the most advanced. And the reason why is because the energy sources to take highly advanced technology, you need high forms of energy. The human body cannot survive in around high forms of energy. So that's kind of where it's restricted, but it's still pretty advanced. And in my story, some of that technology gets out, and now you have to kind of clean it up and fix it. So it's really cool because I really want to examine what would we do with something if we created FTL drive and we have a faster than light travel and we can travel to Alpha Centauri in 5 years, which is what it is, or even faster because we've got wormholes, or we create gate travel, something like that. So these are the type of things that I kind of really want to attack and really want to go into. But going on Elon Musk, the problem that I have with Elon Musk, he's a genius. I said that. The things that he's trying to do, he's a great marketing. But if you know anything about physics and actual travel, we cannot make it to Mars with the schedule that he wants. He wants to launch everyone a rocket every day for a year. He's going to kill people because Earth and Mars only line up at 6 months. Every 6 months, it's the optimal time to get to Mars. It's the quickest time to get to Mars every 6 months, and it goes to a 6-month journey. If you're in outer space,
no, we can get there in 7 days. I had Robert Beto in. He works with me. Watch my video. I got you on this one. But here is the problem.
Yeah,
you are right about. I had Robert Beto in.
Yeah,
he helped develop all this shit.
Yeah,
for 3.5 hours.
7 days? How?
7 days, because that thing that goes back and forth. I forget what it's called. I should know what the name of it is, but
I'll have to watch the video.
Watch the video and you will say, you're right. We can get there in 7 days. We can go at 99% of the speed of light right now. But the problem is the matter.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That's the huge problem. That, and also, if you're moving at 99% the speed of light, what is that going to do to your body?
Well, we're still trying to figure out how to get through the matter.
Exactly.
And then once we get there, we can just shoot.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing that people don't understand.
Yeah,
if you're moving in space and you're there, if that ship stops, it doesn't stop like that. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I love like Star Trek. My show is very real science. You don't just stop. You have to flip your ship and turn on engines to slow down, or they tap into gravity wells, which I think if we could figure out how to tap into the gravity wells of the stars and gravity wells of the planet, we can move a lot faster. We already do it with the slingshot. What do you think the slingshot is? It's basically using the gravitational forces of a planet, or, well, we don't use the sun, but we have launched some probes with the sun and using that to increase the speed and get the speed up. Imagine if we could tap into it to increase the speed times 10. That would get us there faster. So these are some of the stuff that I like to tinker with.
Or they're talking, remember they used to always say that the black hole sucked in, ate you up?
Absolutely.
But now they're reversing that, and they're thinking that maybe it sucks you in and it spits you out
in a white hole.
To another
a white
universe.
Hole. A white hole. So it's basically, it rips the fabric in time. But going back to Elon Musk, that's the thing. Yeah. Right now, nobody really is talking about, the farthest that we've gotten is the moon. And the moon is still in our radiation belt. In fact, we can't fly really through the radiation because it is dangerous. So they went up and around and then landed when one of the weaker points. But when we're out in space, our bodies are not designed for that. So we have to have shielding, and you shield it through water bladder, because water, if you have a thick enough water, it can stop certain forms of radiation, but it can't storm high X-rays or gamma rays. Water doesn't stop it. And X-rays and gamma rays, you get hit, you're dying. And that's the same thing. We want to go to Europa. The radiation on Jupiter would kill you in less than 10 seconds. It's that bad. Because if we didn't have if there was no Jupiter, there'd be no Earth.
Yeah, Jupiter controls.
Yes, it controls it, and it stops the asteroids and all the matter that's there. It swoops up and kills it.
It keeps us in.
But that's the thing that I think we have to understand. yes, we want to get rockets that'll move us fast enough, but we've got to protect ourselves while we're in outer space. So that's the one thing that I knock Elon Musk that he doesn't talk about. But radiation shielding is not as sexy as an engine that can go quarter speed of light or half light or full light. So that's kind of, I get it and I understand that. But I and that's the difference why I say he's more of a Ford in creating these different models. Then in his defense, I've never heard him really talking about physics and so forth like that. He's just a designer because, again, he's a brilliant designer and brings in people that know those things, that can speak on those things, and that's why I think he does that thing.
I still think behind closed doors he's designing things. But we agree to disagree because I agree with you. I agree with you on the body because
we agree to disagree.
Maybe you can get the fucking thing there in 7 days. Maybe you find a way to get there that quick because if you spit at ship, it's done for.
Well, that's one of the things in my story is that they actually they actually design a gate travel. So yes, even with traveling the speed that you can, it still takes a while to get to Mars. There's an episode in one of the episodes that I wrote is one of the bases that's on Mars has a catastrophe and they need the Trottari to take them there. So there's another story. But they're trying to build a gate system that is almost instantaneous, but it's a lot quicker. So instead of taking 6 hours to get to Mars, you can use the gate and you'll be there in anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes. But you have to build these gates which demand a lot more energy. I also deal and dabble with, and one of the biggest technologies that I love playing with in the story are nanites. So they use nanites to heal, to protect, reinforce the shielding, reinforce the clothing. They have all these nanites going through their clothing and through their body. Also, their weapons and their vehicles are if you don't have nanites in you can't fire their pistols. You can't fly in their ships. It's all security. And again, it's stuff that we're thinking about, realistic. We are trying to design little micro robots that can heal you or attack your cancer or things. So I love dabbling in like real science with, pretty cool stories.
Where did you come up with the name Fire?
So
I'm really bad with pronunciation. You give me a medical book, I can tell you everything about medical.
Firebourne Comics. Actually, I can't take credit for that. Evan has to take credit because that's the name of our clan. So like I told you, when we were running around, after about 2-3 months of playing with them, they're like, you should join our group, our clan that's in the game. And the name of name of the clan in our game was Firebourne, and it's B-O-U-R-N. That's how it's spelled. Like Born Identity.
And then you put the R and E.
Yeah.
Because I like Born Identity.
Yeah, it's like from Born Identity. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder how he thought of that.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I can't take credit for that. Evan takes full credit for that.
I got to give it to him. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go through your site because you got a lot of cool stuff. It's not just, books and everything else. So again, tell everybody about this here.
So Primal Origins is our story of our antagonist race of aliens called the Devar. They basically are the main protagonists, and what it is they've been at war with the Lakchi, which are the reptilian main. So there's 7 races within the Lakchi Empire. There used to be 8. The Devar were the 8th. And what happens is the Devar basically are cast out. It's almost like a Gabriel angel, God casting away of Damien, the devil. And so basically the Devar, when they were amassing their empire, they used the Lakchi for their warrior class. If they came across a class of aliens that were more hostile or more advanced, then they used them. So they basically came across this one planet, and it was they were pacifists. They believed in the deity that the Lakchi believe in is a female, and so it's almost the mother. That's what they call it, the Great Mother. So this species introduced the Lakchi to God. And so the Devar were told, do not kill them, do not fight them, because they were pacifists. They laid down their arms. And the Devar, their creed was only the stronger survive. And if you weren't able or wanting to fight, they thought you were weak. So they wiped them out.
And that was the end of that.
So then the Devar, the Lakchi cast them aside, and they've been at war with them because the Devar are trying to get back what they feel the Lakchi took from them, which is introducing them to technology. So the first issue, which you just saw, is when the Devar females are about to give birth, they have to kill the first kill for the pups without any technology. So they have to perform a kill.
And only 32 pages, which I
Yes.
thought was really impressive.
Yeah, like I said, Evan is going crazy.
That's an awesome cover.
Thank you.
Now it's pre-orders.
Yes.
When's that going to be off pre-order?
So we are we're shipping on the 15th will be the physical copies. We're hoping to have them ready for digital by next week. So I just got the final 8 pages. That one is at 20. So it was hard getting him to do more, but we've got all 6 issues already ready, lined up and ready to go. It's just getting him to print and draw because he's hand drawing them.
Oh,
Those
wow.
are all hand draws, and he does some digital stuff, but it's mostly hand drawing. Like I'll show you some of the drafts that we got from him, and I'm just like blown away. It's just, he's such an amazing artist. So that will be out digitally, hopefully next week. And then on the 15th is we'll have our physical, and we'll start shipping our physical copies on the 15th.
15th.
And then that basically will show it's the first issue is going to be kind of laying the foundation of them arriving. And then the second issue will be, so when they arrive, the shuttle basically is on a space station, on the new space station called Freedom. They've called it the Space Station Freedom, but the corporations control the space station, and they have a co-op with NASA. So basically when the ships are coming in, they're told, leave the space station, go into a higher orbit, take pictures, video, and then haul ass back down to Earth. So they take off from the shuttle, and as they're hitting the retro rockets to go to a higher orbit, they crash into one of a cloaked ship, and the cloaked ship shears off the wing of the shuttle, and the shuttle's spiraling out of control. They save it, they stop it, and they go, "Are you guys okay?" or something like that. And it's like, how are you speaking English? And then you'll find out our flagship's coming. The flag commander's going to talk to everyone. They want a worldwide broadcast to tell you who we are and what's going on, but I can't tell you anything.
Now let me ask you this: if somebody orders off the site, will you sign it?
Yes.
Right.
Your copy. This is your copy, by the way.
Thank you very much.
And it is signed. So, and then I'll send you one of our signed Soul once we get Soul out.
Yeah, I want the Soul.
When we get that one out, I'll sign that one as well.
And then you got T-shirts,
Yeah.
which I have this one on here.
Yes, that's the Firebourne comic brand.
You got the red
I've got
one on?
the Devar. This is the Devar emblem, which is, we have that. The one up in the top is the Lakchi, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 points
Right, right here.
are the symbols of the Lakchi Empire, representing each one of the different races that
Cool.
make up the Lakchi.
You got zip-up hoodies.
Yeah, we got it all.
Jeans.
Yeah, we've got it all. The company that we use basically does everything and puts it on anything that we
You got
have.
water mugs.
Yep,
Wow,
we've got everything.
man, when this takes off, you got plenty of shit.
So, like I said, my model is George Lucas. He's my
You got
idol,
stuff
and
for kids?
yeah, we've got onesies. He's
I'll
got.
tell you what, that kid stuff sells
Yeah.
like nothing else.
Evan already has one for his son Adam, so he's been wearing it. We're gonna try to get him the model.
This is cool. I just got to pull this up so anybody watching. This is a cool. Oh fuck, that was me. I fucked it up. It's really
Yeah, so we're really, like I said, we're trying to build a brand there, and my goal is to build a studio. I want a studio in Florida where we can bring back production and try to get stuff going, man. That's what we're trying to do.
So where do you want to go in Florida? So what's your goal in 2 years?
In 2 years,
Other than once you release that book that I want, you'll come back again.
in 2 years, we're hoping to have at least 3 or 4 episodes, or even a full season. The goal is to try to get 6 25 minutes episodes that we can then. We're going to use Film Hub to try to get that out. So Film Hub has multifaceted ways. You can either get it through Click, or you can get it through their groupings with their groups that they do.
Yeah, they kind of got like direct
or a pay-per-view, and they deal with Amazon TV, IMDb TV, Apple TV. They do Prime. So they're going to kind of be our distributors, our third-hand distributors. We're hoping we can get enough eyes where, these 30 minutes will then turn into an hour-long show, and then someone will say, hey, we want to get you on Amazon. Or like, really the goal for me, I would love to get either on Stars because they don't have any sci-fi right now, or I would like to get on Amazon because...
Or Showtime.
Yeah.
I heard my friend got a gig on there.
Yeah. Netflix.
I can't tell you who or what it was, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
He got paid.
I wouldn't turn away Netflix, but Netflix usually only likes to do 4-year contracts, and that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, look, thank you very much.
I
man.
appreciate it.
I mean, this is good. This has me interested. I mean, I didn't think I would be at first, but it's really cool.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the variant cover. So that's the cover. That's the cover. That's the cover that's going to show. That's actually going to be. You don't see that. Oh, you see kind of that in it because they do. She does give birth, and then she basically takes the pups. But the pup that's on there, so like I said, the Devar basically are very. It's the strongest to survive, and they have to fit a certain way. So they're shorter. So this pup that's born, and you have to have a certain color, and he's born kind of mutated, where he has a streak. One of his eyes is different color, and he's bigger than the pups that are normally born. So if a Devar female births something that doesn't fit into their standard, she's supposed to kill the pup. But she can't come to kill her pup.
Don't give too much away. Who's gonna buy it? You told those fucking 32 pages while you've been sitting here.
No, I didn't tell everything.
Your brother's gonna kill you.
I didn't tell everything. Evan won't kill me too much.
Your brother are gonna kill you.
Evan won't kill me too much because
you sold it well.
We're hooking.
I want it.
We're hooking.
I'm hooked.
They're hooked. Because there's, like I said, he's already written the 7 issues already.
You got to bring him in here too.
He's a
I want to see him draw.
Well, no, he doesn't draw either.
Fuck,
this is another artist.
That's another one of your fucking people.
This is another artist. Jason Moser is our artist on this one, and he does a lot of digital, so that's why he's able to turn it out really quick. He designed majority of our alien species, because we've got like 5 or 6 different alien species that are also a part of it. So like I said, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm ready to kick some ass.
Congratulations,
I appreciate it.
I'm happy for you. I can see you're excited.
Thanks.
You worked hard. You met all these people, and you know what's so cool? You've done all this stuff, and this is your thing.
Yeah, I can't wait for
you hung out with Dennis Rodman, Dwayne Wade, all these cool people, and you're still a little boy who's excited about that.
I do. I get giddy whenever I talk about any of the projects that I'm doing or anything that I'm on. Like I said, every day when I go on a show, I'm just like I'd come to the WWE and I'd come smiling because I was so happy. The Globetrotters, I would always so happy, always smiling, because it's
like a one in a million.
Exactly. You're everybody grew up with those guys and wrestling and Globetrotters, and just to be there and be able to make these memories and work with all these amazing people, it's just pretty cool. And then I'm just hoping that I can inspire other people to do this. Go after your dreams. I've been trying to do stuff like this for the longest time, and it's so rewarding when you finally have it. Like I said, when I got the last 8 pages, I was like, yes, finally.
I'll tell you a funny story before we schedule part 2.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, there was a Jamaican guy. He had just come over from Jamaica, but he was so tall, so good at football and basketball.
Yeah.
So every white kid, everybody hung out with him. And we would all laugh because he still had the accent.
The accent, yeah. I have my accent every now and then.
But then when some bully would say something to him, all of us just tackled that.
Yeah.
Probably can't even say that. But he was so funny, and he Bob Marley.
Yeah. Well,
that's all I would hear. That's all I would hear in his Volkswagen was Bob Marley.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, Bob is big on the island.
Really smart.
Yeah.
He went to Polytech. He's doing some big shit.
Yeah. Again, it's
I just thought it was funny the way they had that accent.
It's the Jamaicans are very, very friendly, very loving people.
His mother was very loving.
And that's the thing about us, is that they're very welcoming. If you go to the island, it's very impoverished in certain areas, but it's very, very welcoming. My grandfather, where my father grew up, it's in the country, they like to call it, and it's like
it's in the country.
It's in the country. Like
it's in the country.
We didn't have hot water.
Alex,
we didn't have hot water.
Country.
Yeah.
When sticks.
When my grandfather and my grandmother would give me a bath as a little kid, they'd have to boil the water on a pot.
That's called being in the sticks.
Yeah, that's the sticks. That's the sticks.
Thank you, Alex, man.
Definitely,
it's been a blast.
It's been a pleasure. Definitely, I'll tell my brother we can schedule something and see when he can come in, and I'll come in with him. And he's
I'm happy you came. I had a good
crazy.
time. You're awesome.
He'll tell you some really good stories, and he's got the same demeanor as me. We're really just trying to tell people, unite, tell people the different things that we
have fun, and
have a good
work
time,
and follow your dream, whether it's $2 an hour or $1 million.
Exactly.
Just wake up, be happy.
Exactly. It was an honor.
With that, it was an honor for me as well.